topics that I wanted to discuss was being a single mother. I know how it is to be a single father, but I want a perspective of a woman to tell me how it is. Like, how hard is it to balance like your work life, your social life, your child, your potential relationships? Like, what are the biggest things that are obstacles for you?
So what has been the biggest obstacles for me as a single mom, like having him full time, is time management. Like,
Yeah.
since I'm giving, let's say, 20% in one area, 30% in another area of my life, 40%, 50%, break it down to, work, family, friends, social, my kid, school. And then, like, sometimes, like, I'll put more effort in one area of my life, and even though it may feel good, like, oh man, like I'm spending a lot of quality time with Cairo, right? Then I might kind of feel guilty that I'm not giving that much attention to like every other aspects of my life. Like, maybe I'm not doing so well at work, or like I'm slacking on my classes at school. Like, I'm like just half-assing my work, so I can put more time aside for him.
Yeah.
But I feel guilty for that. Like, then I'm like, oh, well, you know what? Let me put more time in school because that's important. It's for the future, so that I'm putting more time and effort in that. And then I feel guilty because I'm like, I'm not spending enough quality time with my son. So it's just kind of hard trying to balance all of that as well as managing my time efficiently. You know what I mean?
It's so crazy to say that, because that's exactly the feeling that I get, is like guilty. Like, whenever I have my son like 1 week, and then he goes with his mom 1 week. So the week that I have him, I don't like to do anything that requires time away from him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, work on the house or do anything else. So like, when I have him, and if I have to, I don't know, even if I just like cut the grass or something, like I feel guilty that I should be doing this when I don't have him, so I can like maximize the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then like, same thing goes with everything. Like, my friends will like call me or be like, hey, like, let's hang out, let's do this. But when I have my son, like, I don't do anything. Like, I don't go out, I don't do anything, I don't even hang out with them. So it's like, I feel guilty that I'm doing that to them, but at the same time, it's like, I would much rather do this, right?
Yeah.
But it's just so hard, because like, cause you go to school, I don't go to school. And it's already hard enough for me to like work, like 40 hours a week, work out, like get your kid ready, like help them like with anything that has going on. Like, for my son, like, he's in school, so I'll help him with like homework and like all that stuff. And it's just, I don't know, it's just like really hard. So I can just imagine having those extra, like going to school, or like even in a relationship, because I'm not in a relationship, so I can just imagine like having to put that time.
That's like a whole nother monster in itself. Like, how do you stretch yourself so far to be able to get into a new relationship, right? And now you're like, I'm already struggling with these 5 other things. Like, the thought of like, okay, well, how do I even put time aside to find someone? One, right? 2 is like, okay, well, let me get on a dating app, right? But have you been on a dating app?
A while ago, yeah. I don't no more.
It's just so much work, like.
So like, definitely, like, it's definitely a lot of work, but at the same time, it's like, because I'm sure you feel it when you don't have your son. It's like, what do you do when you don't have your son? Like, wouldn't you much rather spend time with somebody, right? But then you have to find a specific person that understands, like, hey, I can give you my attention, but not until, like, I don't have my child. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, who really likes it? Like, I've lost so many potential relationships because of that situation.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where they're like, okay, cool. So when like, I don't have my son, I spend a lot of time with them. We have fun. We hang out. We do all this stuff. But when I have my son, like, I'm not going to bring them around like so quickly, so I don't see them for like a week, and then that becomes a problem. It's okay at first because they're like understanding, like, okay, yeah, blah blah blah. But then after so many months, they're like, I already see you, and then this and that, and it's just like, you gotta understand, right? Like, people have to be understanding if you go into like the relationship part of it.
I think it also just depends like what part of life they're in as well. Like, I know I had started dating somebody, and it was, when are you free? You know, I'm free all this time, and you're free the same time, so I want to see you. Like, I want you around.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, I'm finally off on these days. I want to spend quality time with my son.
Yeah.
You know, this person would be like, well, bring your son, like, just like we'll all hang out. And I'm like, it's not the same, because even like say even we got to the point, right, where I did feel comfortable enough to be like, okay, like we can all hang out. I'm still dividing my attention and time between my son and my partner.
Yeah.
Right? It's not one-on-one quality time like I would.
Yeah.
Especially when you find somebody who's like wanting your attention and isn't getting enough of it. So at that point, you know, you kind of have to step back and realize that you're both at different parts in your life. Like, this person wants a partner that is available whenever they need them.
Yes.
And if you're not willing to do that, it's not going to work out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they did it. But you have to find somebody who has their own things going on at the same time, so they're not always, I mean, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, codependent almost. Like, when people start getting in relationships, like, they really like you, but they really want to be around you all the time.
Yeah.
You're like, I don't have all that freedom. Like, I need somebody who's going to be able to understand, but is also going to have, like, well, I have a day off, like let's say you have a day off and you're like, okay, well, I want to hang out with my friends. I don't necessarily, like, I saw you last weekend, right? Let's say you only have the weekends available, right?
Yeah.
Like, I saw you last weekend, and then, you know, I had my son on Saturday, now it's Sunday, and you want to hang out, but I haven't seen my friends in like a month. Like, maybe I just want to go hang out with my friends. And, you know, sometimes you may want to do that without your partner or whoever you're seeing at the time, just because it's different. You know what I mean? It's different when you, like, hang out with people with a significant other as opposed to by yourself.
So do you think guys are more clingy now than women? Because I get that, like, a lot from the woman's side, but it's, to me, I feel like, okay, it's normal. Like, women want more attention. I get that, but for a woman dating and the man's on it, like, do you see men being more clingy, or like how does that work? Because I'm pretty sure, like, if a man is like, if you tell the man, like, hey, you know, this is my schedule, like, all right, I think he'll be more understanding, as opposed to a woman being like, hey, like, I can't see you these days because I have my kid, but I'll give you my time right now. So like I said, like, most women don't like that because they want all the attention, but I don't know. Like, I
don't know, but, like, for me personally, I do want attention. You know, I mean, I don't like clingy. Like, I don't want you to be like, I want to see you today, I want to see you today, I want to see you. No, but at least, like, hit me up. Send me a message saying, hey, I know you're busy today, hope you have a great day, perfect, I am really busy, here's my availability, you know, when are you available? All right, let's see each other this day, perfect, got it. But I do want, you know, like, good morning text, all of that, you know, like,
normal stuff.
Yeah.
It's not like overbearing.
Like,
with it, yeah.
I don't need you to be like, well, I haven't seen you in a week. It's like, I know, I haven't seen a lot of people in a week who, like, all I do is work, school, and tend to my son, so.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like, for me, so like I said, a lot of missed opportunities because of that, but at the same time, it's like you said, so it's like a point in life, but that's why now, personally, I would only want to date, like, a woman that has a kid. You know what I mean? Because they understand. Like, they understand the life, they understand the responsibilities. They're more understanding. Probably not, like, maybe it won't work with them, but at the same time, like, I feel like they would be in a better, you know what I'm saying, like, mindset to understand that. Because I've dated an array of different type of women. Like, I dated younger women that were like early mid-20s, and it's like not at all. Like, they are 100, they want to, you know, do this and that, which is fine. Again, point in my life, I'm not there. I don't want to necessarily do that. So, and I don't fault them for it. It's not like, hey, I'm telling you not to. It's just like, maybe I'm just not the person for you. And that's it. Like, or just be mature about it, right?
Yeah.
And then, again, I've dated single mothers, but they're not understanding because their situation is a little bit different with their kids. So, like every moment that they don't have their kids, like they want to spend it with you. And like you said, like it's fine, but like what if you just want to be with your friends, or like what if you want to spend the day with like your family? Like I'm really big with my family. Like we're always doing something every weekend, so it's like maybe I don't necessarily want to spend it with you, but like be understanding at least. And it's like it doesn't work. I don't know what it is. Like it just you have to find that. Like I was telling you before, like that specific puzzle piece. Like
and that's why it's like just the thought of finding a partner, not like in a new relationship. It's just like okay, well now you have to go through all of this, and you have to find, just like that. That just sounds exhausting within itself. Like now I have to figure out who's going to meet these standards, qualities, characteristics, mindset.
what's your perfect quality like standard of a relationship? Like if you're looking for a guy, like what are you looking for? Everything, not only like characteristics, personality, but like everything.
I want to say like my biggest thing is that they at least look like they've got their shit together. Like
yeah, because like almost not everybody has their shit together.
No, they don't. But like I don't have my shit at all together, right? And the guy that I was with, who I had my son with, like we were together for 6 years, and we were both, I was straight out of high school. He was in college or whatever, but when we got together, it was like, okay, we're struggling to take care of this. We're struggling to do this. It's like we're both like overcoming like our mental roadblocks, like past traumas and like old habits, and so we're going through it together, and I'm not knocking that, but I feel like I've done that, and I'm at the point now it's like where I don't want to be growing with someone who is at the same level of growth as me. I think I don't know if that sounds bad, but it's like
no, absolutely.
I kind of want to find somebody who has like a good head on their shoulders and is looking for a relationship with somebody, not necessarily I want to get in a relationship with somebody who's going to make our relationship all about me. Does that make sense? Like I want to be able to find somebody who we both have our lives and we enjoy being together, but we also have like our own things going on. And like we were talking about priorities, right? With that post that on Facebook, it's like I want you to know that I'm going to be my first priority. I'm number one. Not to sound selfish, but if I don't put myself first and I'm always putting others first, like even my kid, right? Then I'm gonna.
Yeah, that trickles down. So like if you're not happy, that's gonna transcend to your kid, your relationship, your friends around you. Like you gotta take care of yourself first. I get that. Yeah.
So I also want a partner who's gonna think that exact same way. Okay. Like I don't want him to just be like, you're my world, and everything he does is to like cater and to please me, because it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. Like
I love that. You know why? Because I feel like the people who have that mentality are like younger. Like the more younger, immature, but not using the word immature like in a negative way. It's just like they're not as experienced. You know what I mean?
Well, I feel like a lot of times, at the beginning, right, you become like in love, right, infatuated with the person.
Yeah,
you
like
want to do that.
Honeymoon stage.
Yeah, and you want to like do everything to make them happy, and you want to please them, and then without knowing, like, you're not taking care of yourself, right? So then when it gets to a point where it's like you're doing all this stuff for your partner to please them, to make them happy, and, to love you as well, and love your actions, and whatever. And for whatever reason, they're not responding the way you would like, then, it's kind of hurtful. Yeah. Like, right? Like, if you're going out of your way to make this person, to give this person the world, and they're like, well, like, that's nice and all, but, it's not the reaction that you're trying to receive. Yeah. Then at that point now, you feel like, I did this for you, you're not as appreciative as I thought, but you also didn't give yourself attention. So now there's that conflict within the relationship. Does that make sense?
I 100% agree. But again, I think so. It comes with experience. Like you understand that, right? And so you know what's gonna make it work. Like I'm real big on like not going through the same mistakes that I've done in the past. You know what I mean? So like I'm very like self-aware of what works for me and what doesn't. You know what I mean? Like again, like I now wouldn't date no one that's like so young, like younger, because it's the same issue all the time, right? So like I went through that, don't want to do it. I went through this type of person, don't want to do it. Because another big thing is like I 100% agree. Like people need a like if you're in a point in your life where you are already at a certain growth, you want somebody there, if not like higher.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to. Again, I've been through that stage where like I went through the bullshit with people, and I'm not like not to sound like fucked up or anything, but I'm not trying to heal nobody right now. You know what I mean? Like
Exactly.
I already went through it.
So if you're growing, like not everybody grows at their own pace.
Yeah.
But if you're growing behind me, the kind of person that I am, I'm gonna want to put my shit on hold to help you grow.
Exactly.
So now I'm taking 10 steps back to help you because I want us both to grow. And I'm like, well, I've already done that, so let me help you. But now I'm going backwards instead of forward. And I think that's why I say like I want someone who has grown a lot further than I have, because not only do I know I don't have to take care of them, I don't expect anybody to take care of me in my growth journey, right? So, and I feel like I could also learn from them.
Yeah, like I feel like people in a relationship should definitely help each other, right? Like support each other and all that, but to an extent, right? Like where if one person is doing all the work, then that's where it's not like an advantageous relationship, right? You kind of need, hey, like I help you, you help me, like you balance each other out. Mm-hmm. And then again, you can't do that with somebody that's healing or has like so many walls built up because of past experiences or relationships. But okay, so that's like a big quality. But what are some other ones? Maybe not as significant that you look for in a man.
Like a sense of calmness and security.
Okay. Yeah.
Like I'm the kind of person that if I get like a problem, like let's say I'm about to be out of gas, right? So it's like, okay, well I need to stop and put gas, even though it's gonna make me late for work, but it's one problem at a time. It's fine. Let me just take care of this one thing so that way I can get to work and make sure I don't run out of gas. Calm, collective, problem solving. I feel secure that I'm going to be able to make sure that I have gas in my car to get to work. So like I don't, and from experience, like my ex would always like anytime we had an issue, it would just be this big thing, right? Like, oh my God, like now like. Let's say we get a flat tire. It's like, oh my God, I have a flat tire. I'm not gonna be able to go to work. I'm gonna get in trouble. I'm gonna get written up. Like F this. Like it's
falling,
just and it's like, well, I don't even know how to change a tire, right? How do I even, it's just like I don't feel you're not calm, and I don't like that. And I don't feel secure because you're spazzing out, and you're gonna have problems. You're gonna have issues. So I feel like I would really want my partner to be able to overcome situations in a calm manner and always be like whatever is thrown at our way, right, in a relationship. It's like, okay, well let's see what are our options, how can we fix this, okay, we have to do this, let's figure it out, let's go. Because that's gonna make me feel like secure.
But honestly, like I just feel like that's like just a man. Like a man should be the one to like take charge and provide that sense of like security and calmness. I think that should be like a given trait to every man, but I understand. But because like I'm not like a sexist, right? Like I don't think that women should stay at home and like cook and clean, right? Even though like I grew up very traditional, right? So like My parents are Mexican, so they are very traditional to the T. My stepdad works. My mom stays at home. She hasn't worked in like 20 years, like, and she takes care of him in the house and like the family. So I understand that, but at the same time, it's like 2022. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not gonna be the one like, hey, stay at home and cook and clean for me and take care of the kids. Even though personally, I feel like that would be nice, but if the woman doesn't want to do that, I'm not going to be like, no, don't do it. Yeah, like definitely like but for like I didn't really have a lot of relationships, and most of my relationships that I had, the women didn't work. Like they would just stay at my apartment. They would do the necessary things, and and we had a good relationship. But as I got older, like it would be better. Like it's always better to have two incomes in the household, right? So I get that. But at the same time, it's like for me, I feel that gender roles are not necessarily a bad thing. You know what I mean? Like, so if you have a flat tire, are you gonna change it, or do you want your manager?
I mean, I can change the tire, but I do not want to change the tire.
So, but if you would want to feel comfortable enough to be like, hey, can you change this tire for me, or can you change the oil, or can you fix this around the house? Like, to me, right? Like, everybody has their preferences. To me, I feel like a man should be able to do all those things. And then the same thing, like not necessarily put all of the burden, like if both the man and the woman are working, like the woman shouldn't like cook every day or do all that. Like I feel it has to be like an equal balance. But yeah, like certain gender roles, like the woman should be like the loving, caring, like the more, like nurturing person.
I agree. I actually do like that. Like
right?
I would love to be able to be stay-at-home mom. I clean, I make sure everything's in order. You work, you do the manly stuff. That's good for me. I would have no problem with that, because now that's my job. My job is to be the nurturing person, to make sure that the house is a nice environment for the both of us. And I feel like when you have these responsibilities equally in the household, like let's say right, you're going to work, you're taking care of like the bills and like the mechanics of stuff,
and all that, yeah.
I'm taking care of all the other stuff. You're not worried about coming home to no food. You're not worried or stressing out about a messy house. And vice versa. I'm not worried about having to go to work. I'm not worried about having
to like pay this or pay that.
Yeah, or like not be there for things that matter for the kids.
Exactly.
So now if it was, okay, well I do want to work, well then yeah, now you're going to have to split the household chores. Now you guys going to have to see who's going to do dinner. And as long as there's like a balance and all of that, that works.
That's a perfect situation, because I feel like, because you tend to the house and like tending to the kids and all, that's a lot of work. Like, it's a lot of work. That's what I'm saying. Like, people don't give a lot of props because they don't fully understand single parents, right? But on top of that, I'm a real big advocate of single fathers, because they have it way worse in the sense of like mental health wise, like not having to see their kids. And hey, if most men don't want to have their kids like a lot of time, well then that's how they are. But like me personally, like I don't like the fact that I have my son 1 week and then I don't see him for a week, personally, right? Some people will be like, well, you have 50-50, like you should be fine with that. Well, I'm not. Like, I want my son every day, right? Yeah. So, like, I get that, but the responsibilities, like, I feel like, I would say most.
Well, I don't mean to cut you off, but you don't feel like it's kind of nice to be able to have that week to catch up on the stuff that you weren't able to catch up when your son was there?
No.
No?
No. I would much rather, like, I get that. Don't get me wrong, I do a lot of stuff when I don't have my son, but I would give all of that up to have my son. Like, if someone told me, hey, you can have your son every day, but you can't, like, go out ever. You can't go and socialize. Like, okay, that's fine.
Oh, I'm not talking about socializing.
I'm just saying, like, in general, like, well, if I had my son every day, then I wouldn't feel guilty of, like, cutting the grass or doing home improvement stuff or doing this and that, because I'm going to have him every day. I feel guilty now because I know my time is limited to those 7 days, right? And that's why. But no, I would 100% give everything up to have them every day. That's just mine. It's just because, like, also, and I get the fact that, like, single mothers have their kids most of the time. They're like primary, they have them most of the time, and the dad gets them like every other weekend, 2 days or 3 days, whatever. That's fine, right? But for me, it's like, I get that sometimes you need a break and, like, hey, drop the kids off at grandma's and, like, that's fine, that's cool. But it's like, once you're in a position where, like, let's say a judge told that mom, hey, instead of, like, you don't have primary, you only have your son every other weekend, your perspective is going to change. Your perspective is going to change when you don't have your kid every day. But because they do, I don't say they take it for granted. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying is their perspective is not the same because they do have them every day. My perspective is different because I don't have my son every day. And like so my son is like my best friend. He's like my go-to person. Like, I can, like, if I'm having a bad day, I pick him up from school, I instantly get better.
Oh.
Like, just looking at him, it's just like, that's why I put up with this shit. Because he has no care in the world. He's telling me about his day in school. He's telling me about his friends, what he learned. That's it. Everything goes away. So why wouldn't I want to nurture that as much as possible? Like, keep that every day of my life. You know what I mean? That's why everything else would seem so insignificant. But again, I don't knock people, like parents, whether it's the mom or dad, if they need a break. I get it. Just my perspective is different because I don't have that same situation. You know what I mean? But like I was getting to, like, I feel like most older women would like that type of situation, like where they didn't have to work, and then they have their responsibilities, and the man has their responsibilities, and that's good. Because taking that weight, because right now you have all of the weight. You have the finances, you have the stuff to take care of the house, you have your kid, you have like your family, you have your friends, all that weight is on you. Imagine if you could take half of that away. Wouldn't you
I'd cry.
You'd be better, right? So like if you have a partner that provides that for you, I feel like most women that I've talked to and I've dated or what have you, like they would like that setup, right? And I think that was just kind of like socially like a taboo, because if you mention that, you think like, oh, you're oppressing women because you don't want them to work. Not at all. I'm just saying, like, be realistic. Like, if somebody can help you take away half of the pressure of life, and that person is your person, like you love this person, that's the best situation. Like, why wouldn't anybody want to do that? You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
But I don't know. But don't get me wrong. There's some women that are real like career driven. Like they want to do that. And like, hey, do what you please. I'm just saying, my experience. Most women, older women, or women with kids, they would want that help from somebody that they want to like spend their life with, get married with. Like, of course, but that's a whole nother situation of just like dating. Like I haven't dated somebody in so long because it's just garbage. It's just trash. Like,
and that's what we were talking about, right? So I feel like if I was at the point where I was seeing somebody, right, and I felt comfortable enough to introduce them to my kid, I would know that I was confident enough that this person was able, or like, I trust that this person can meet my son. But what I was trying to explain is like, if we can introduce them slowly, like, hey, this is so and so.
Oh yeah, I remember talking about
just because, like I mentioned, my ex is like, you should be dating this person for at least a year before you bring them around my son. And I'm like, okay, but it's easy to fake loving somebody else's child if you haven't met them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So like, what if I am dating this person for a year? Mind you, what comes with that is that every time that I set time aside to go see him, it's my free time that I'm taking away from my son.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So I would love to put them together when,
Of course.
when it's the
Well,
right time.
that's the end goal. Like,
But-
that is what you want at the end.
Let's say though that I'm dating somebody and I do feel like, okay, it's been a year and he's all about like, I want to meet your son, I want to meet your son, and all of a sudden it comes to that in-person time and it's just like an awkward mess.
Yeah, it's like a dynamic. The
know what I
dynamic is
mean?
not there. Like,
Like,
you can
And I
instantly
just
feel it.
wasted an entire year of
So
my life.
I agree and disagree. So I agree that you want to kind of put them in like the whole situation sooner than later. But then the debate is how soon. How soon is too soon, or how late is too late? Because I don't agree that you have to do a year. Like, I don't agree with that part, because just like you said, you're dating for a year and then they don't have a good dynamic, and that's not gonna work, and you wasted a year.
Yeah, and you also don't know how this other person is going to
Yeah, like react.
discipline. Like let's say we do have a good dynamic, right? They meet and it's fine, but then now this guy that I'm seeing is a harsh discipliner that I've never been able to encounter because he's never been around my son.
Yeah.
And if you're a harsh discipliner and I'm like, I don't like that, and now it's not
Well,
going to work.
I
you know
think
what I mean?
those conversations have to happen before you meet the kid. Like, so I only dated one woman that met my son, and I set expectations like whenever that conversation was coming about. We were getting closer, time was going on. It's like, okay, I want to introduce you. I set those expectations like from the bat. My expectation for
So like you just openly like, okay, I think we should talk about my expectations.
100%,
because I'd like
100%. Yeah, like, that's just communication.
Mhm.
101. It's like, you tell them so they know what your expectations are. That's it. You don't have to. It's not a negative conversation. It's not nothing. It's like, this is important to you, so they need to know what their boundaries are and how to move about it. Like, again, I have the same conversation with my ex, and this is just in general with anybody. My son has a mom, right? I'm not asking no one to be his mom. He has a mom, but whether or not I like that mom or not, that's not my choice. He has a mom, right? So my thing is, I'm not asking no woman that I date to be a mom to my son.
Yeah.
All I want is a positive influence.
Yes.
That's it. Hey, all I want you to do is just be nice to my son. Be a good person around my son. Don't do like stupid shit around my son. Don't act a fool. Don't like talk to him ugly. Like, just normal shit.
But I feel like if you get to the point, right, that you're like, okay, well, I want to introduce you to my son, I feel like you should have a really good grasp on that, to the point where it doesn't really need to be said. But I do
Okay,
see
so
what you're saying, like, to make it verbal, just so there are no surprises.
I get that, like, because it's hard to have those conversations, but at the same time, it's like, so it does need to be said. I'd say that, because it's like, some people don't understand, right? Like, I've had a conversation with a guy that was dating my son's mom, and it's like, it's very simple. I don't dislike you, I don't like you, I don't know you, I don't care. And it's like, look,
But that's not somebody that you chose. That's
No, I get that, but I'm saying, like, the point of having certain conversations need to be had, because even though, like, the sentiment of their relationship is like, the guy has to be good to that girl's kids, the girl has to be good to that guy's kids, vice versa. Like, that's a common thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes people may not know because they never had those conversations. So my conversation is just like, hey, there's nothing to be said. It's just, don't fuck with my son. Like, don't discipline him. Don't talk to him a dirty way. Like, just be good to him. That's it. If he has issues and the mom is not, doing anything about it, I mean, you can talk to me about it, or you should let it be where the mom lets that happen, but you should never intervene with anything going on with a child that's not yours. I'm big on that. And that's it. A simple conversation.
Mm-hmm.
As much as that guy probably knows oh, I didn't have to tell him that. But at the same time, like, I can justify anything after because we had that conversation. So if something does happen,
like, hey, we already
we had
discussed
this conversation.
I
Right?
gave you the ground rules.
It's better to have that conversation first than to have it later. So let's put it in the situation of the guy that you're dating. Let's say you don't have the conversation. He knows he has to treat your son right, and then let's say a situation happens where, I don't know, he screams at him or he does whatever. Then you're having a conversation because you're like, oh, I don't like that. No, that
avoid it.
Exactly. You should have had it in the beginning. So if anything does happen, you told him and he still did it. That's just
red flag.
That's just disrespect.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So if I'm telling you, hey, I don't like this, don't do it, and you do it, that's somebody that doesn't respect you. Simple as that. So I'm big on open communication, letting them know, like, hey, this is what I like, this is what I don't like in certain things. But for the most part, like, because it's really hard to really know somebody in the beginning, right? I always tell this to everybody. It's like the honeymoon stage, everything's great. People have masks, right? So they put their best face forward. Like, yes, I'm great. I am loving. I communicate the best. Like, I really am into you. Blah blah blah. Cool. But how long can they keep that up, right?
Yeah.
You know, it sucks to say, but a lot of times it is like that. On a guy in the woman's side too, it's like a guy probably just wants to be really nice to you because he wants to get you in bed, right? Or on the woman's side, it's like, I kind of like this guy, I'm not too sure, and then they just like ghost the guy, right? It can be on both sides, but the thing is, for me, it's like, just have certain conversations. Like, I'm grown, I don't have time to be like, hey, like, let me fuck with you, like, let's do this, let's do that. For me now, because like I was telling you before, like, I want more kids, right? But I need to be married first. Like, I need to be with that person for a while. I need to do this and that, and I'm not gonna get there if I'm like fucking around, right? Like, there has to be a certain like plan of what you're doing. But like I told you, it's like dating is just garbage nowadays. Like, you just don't know what you're gonna get, and then if you waste your time, that's my biggest thing is if I start talking to somebody and everything's great, and then like 6 months down the road they show me like a side that I don't like or I don't want to pursue, like, fuck, I lost 6 months of my fucking time. That's the biggest thing.
Well, but I wouldn't say it's a loss of
100%,
time.
yeah.
I wouldn't say it's a loss of time. Yeah, it's disappointing because now you have to start all over again, but you did enjoy your time with them when you had them. And that's something that I was trying to also, talk to you about when we last spoke, was people come and go in seasons.
100%.
People will come, you shouldn't see it as, man, I spent a year with this person and now it's not going to work. And I know I said that about like the kid, but they're, realistically, I'm not going to wait an entire year.
Yeah.
If it takes me an entire year to feel comfortable enough to introduce a guy to my son, then that's not it.
Yeah.
Like, it shouldn't take you that long to be like, you know what, it's time.
Yeah.
No. So, but yeah, let's say I was dating somebody for a year and they met my son, and for whatever reason we broke it off. I'm not going to say, man, I wasted it. No, like, we had a great time. You were meant to be here for a season. Unfortunately, you didn't meet my son, right? And that's what our main discussion was.
Yeah, you have experiences, you have good times that you have with that person. So I get that.
That's where I was like struggling with the thought, right?
Yeah.
Like, what if I just like never fully introduce, like, hey, this is my boyfriend, and like show personal, affection. Like, hey, this is new daddy. Like, no, I'm not gonna do that, right? It's like, hey, this is so and so, like, we're hanging out platonically and it's fine. And
so I'm glad you
once you like kind of like progress in that, and you see, and let's say, so I know my ex is a big, I want to meet the guy you're dating, and I want to meet him before he meets our son.
Yeah.
So at that point, right, they would have met, they would have built their own relationship, however that goes. My son is comfortable now with this guy I'm dating, and I'm comfortable with the way their interaction is going.
Yeah.
But I feel like at that point in time, whenever I do feel it's right, then I could be like, hey, look, we're dating. You know, mommy likes him, then I can hold his hand, maybe kiss him, right, at that point. Like, break it in slowly. You know, that's the idea I was playing with, because what if I get to the point where I'm like, hey, this is mommy's new friend, and then I don't like the way they interact, like, it's just not going to work. Then at that point, like, later on, if he does, it's like, hey, where's so-and-so? And I'm like, oh, he went bye-bye. You know, it's like, okay, it's just like a friend. Like, I never went as far as introducing him, like, hey, he's going to be in our life. You know what I mean? Like, because he sees my friends all the time. He's always like, hey, where's John? Where's Jesse? Where's so-and-so? Where's Sarah? You know, like, and I'm just like, oh, they're home. They're doing their own thing. But once I'm like, hey, this is my new friend, then he's just going to see him as a new friend, not necessarily. That's what I was trying to explain.
So, no, I understand that, and I 100% understand that, but personally, okay, so let me say this. I think it's a very situational thing, because it matters on the age of your child, it matters on the frequency that you do that, and it matters, like, if that takes up a lot of time, then it's different. So, like, for instance, for my son, I don't do that. Like, I don't see that, because I don't. So if I bring him around a lot of my female friends, and he can be like, okay, yeah, that's just a friend, and then I eventually say, like, hey, this friend I'm dating, and, like, this is my girlfriend.
I might get confused.
So he may think that, oh, well, the other friends are they your girlfriends too? Like, are you like I don't.
That's
want,
like a confused.
Yeah, I don't want my son to ever think that it's okay to be, like, for me to have, like, a lot of girlfriends, or, like, have a lot of women around, because I'm gonna tell you this, I was that guy, 100%. I was, like, big on going out and, like, hooking up with women and doing this and that. And that, I would say, that caused a lot of problems in my life.
Yeah.
I wish I didn't go down that road. I wish, like, ideally, I wish I found the love of my life young and then married her, and then that's it. I wouldn't, if I could go back in time, that's what I would change. Because so many issues with women. So I don't want him to grow up like that. Because I grew up that way. I didn't have my dad too much around, and when I did, it was always somebody new. To this day, this fucking guy's like 70 and he still has girlfriends. Like, he's still, like, that dude, and I don't want to be that guy. He's been married twice, has kids with 3 different women. I don't want to be that guy, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want to bring that around my son at all. Now he'll see me, like, you know, I'll talk to my female friends, right? And then he'll be like, the first thing he'll be like, was that your girlfriend? Because he's already older. He's about to be 8, so he kind of understands it now. So that's what I'm saying. Now he's at that age where he understands. So I feel like if I do bring him around certain women or certain people, then he's gonna understand. It's like, okay, that's Dad's girlfriend. Like, that's that person that's gonna be around, because he knows the concept now. Like, he knows the concept of girlfriends and wife and all that, because he has like stepbrothers and stepsisters. He has a stepdad and all that. So he knows it. That's why I'm, like, real careful now. But I feel like,
and I'm glad you said that, because I've never been in this situation before. My son's 3 years old, right? So I'm like, I don't see the issue, because he doesn't, like, I don't think that he knows the difference of mommies and daddies, because he's an only child.
Yeah.
And he doesn't,
so
like, he's not around other people to be like, how come their mommy and daddy are together, but my mommy and,
yeah,
you know,
so,
like, and he hasn't raised
gonna,
any questions like that.
It's gonna come, especially when, like, he goes to school, because he's so young. And I feel like if you do that now, he's not gonna remember. Like, even if you bring friends around, a lot of people around, like, what have you, like, he's not gonna remember at that age, you know, by the time he gets like 6 or what have you. But I do feel that that is gonna come about. He understands. Like my son now tells me, he's like, why did you and mom break up? Why weren't y'all married? Like, why this and that?
I'm not ready for that.
No, it's gonna happen.
Man.
100% it's gonna happen.
I mean, I know. I'm just not ready for it. We weren't it, baby. I'm sorry.
We weren't it. Like, it just didn't work out.
Yeah.
But so, and you know, and that's another thing. Like, I talk to my son like he's older. Like, I tell him exactly what happened. I tell him the situation. I talk to him about everything. You know what I mean?
I think that's very important, especially like starting from a young age, to be very thorough when explaining stuff and communicating. Like even with my son too, like he'll be like, because sometimes he will say like, you know, where's daddy?
Yeah.
And I'll be like, he's at daddy's home. He's like, not mommy's home. And I'm like, no, mommy and daddy don't live together. He has his own home, and you have your own home with him, and you have your own home here.
Like
with
that's his
mommy.
normal. Him right now, he probably thinks like, oh, that's
normal.
Everybody goes through that.
Yeah.
But again, once he gets older, he gets around other kids. He starts watching TV more. He starts to understand the dynamic of like parents and marriage and all that. Like it's gonna get hard. So you definitely gotta prepare yourself for those type of conversations. And then even at that, like prepare yourself for the relationships, because the way that he views your relationships now as opposed to when he's 10 years old, it's gonna be way different. Like, you know what I'm saying? He's gonna understand what it is to have a boyfriend or a girlfriend or a stepdad.
And like I do get that, and I do get that it is important to have a really good, like when you are dating and you are in a relationship, that it's really essential to have a good relationship for him, like to set an example, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like what you were saying, like you don't want to be like, oh, I have all these girlfriends or I see all these girls, because you don't want him to grow up and be like, oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like all of this just puts it just that much more pressure on just like the thought of dating, because now you're like, well, fuck,
that's what I'm telling you.
mess this up.
That's where I'm at. It's like I'm fucking like, it's just so overwhelming. Like even when I meet somebody that I'm interested in and I want to take it there, I have already like 10 reasons of why to say no. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's just hard, but at the same time, for me personally, it's I'm really big on like everything happen organically. Friendships, relationships, people, like anything that is gonna happen is supposed to happen.
I agree too. Like right now, when I feel overwhelmed, I'm like, it's just not meant to be. Like because it should not be overwhelming to find someone to date.
Yeah.
And then that's another key word, find. I don't feel like you should find somebody to date. It should just happen organically. Like you will come across, we will cross paths with the right person, and it'll happen.
Yeah.
I think that takes the pressure off. Like, all right, let me swipe and read these bios and
it's a lot.
Start these conversations. How was your day? What are you up
that's
to?
another thing. I fucking hate that. It's like, how's your day going? How'd you sleep? What'd you eat? What'd you do? How's this? It's
Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me.
It's like, I wish I could just bypass that. Like I said, it's like the timing part. It's like, I wish I could find out if this person chemistry works with mine.
See, and a year after my ex and I broke up, right? It was like a year, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna start dating, but I don't have the time. So I went on Hinge, and I'm that person that's like, hey, I found you interesting. Did you find me interesting? Let's set up a first date. My friends are like, you know nothing about this person. What if you get kidnapped? I'm like, I'm not about to sit here and talk to them for 10, 15 minutes back and forth. Like, I'd rather be like, let's meet in person, because within 5 or 10 minutes, if it's not right and it's uncompatible, then I'm gonna get up and walk away. But I'm not wasting a few days trying to sit there and message you back. Like, I hate that. Like, even with my friends, to this day, my friends know, don't talk to me, don't text me. hit me up, let me know, hey, I'm free this day, let's hang out, and then we can hang out that day and we can chit chat and catch up. But don't message me like, it just takes too much time. Like,
I got you. Okay, I mean that's a unique perspective because I feel like most women are not that way. Like they want to get to know you, they don't want to see you right away, they don't want to just jump into it, which I understand. But at the same time, I appreciate that approach because it's like, yes, instead of fucking texting and calling for a week or two, you like right away know, hey, yeah, this person ain't it. Like
you do, especially like, you know, like because I don't know, like I've had it a couple of times where like I did chit chat like maybe a day's worth of messages back and forth with them, and I'm like, okay, well let's go have lunch, and then I'm having lunch with this person and they're just
they're not it.
Yeah, and I'm like, wow, I had a total different perspective of you via text than the way you're carrying yourself right now in conversation.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I just wasted. You know what I mean? Like if I would have been like, hey, you know, lunch tomorrow, 2:00, perfect. You know, it doesn't take much of my time to show up, and then if within 10 minutes I'm like, nah, you're arrogant, I'm gonna, you know, walk away.
I know. I mean,
or if I'm interested and intrigued and I sit for the whole day, and I'm like, okay, you can text me, and then I'll text you here and there. And we'll go from there.
So I like that because I've definitely so many times I've wasted like just the time of like getting to know the person and then we actually meet and we're like not compatible.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I remember one time I went to this date, this girl that I started talking to, and we were like talking for like a week, and then we went on a date. So you know how we were talking about like what qualities you like in people. So one of my pet peeves is long nails. I don't like long nails. I don't like long nails, like the party nails. I don't like that. I don't like overly done makeup, like bright, colorful makeup. Like I don't like
bright, colorful makeup.
Like
that's not overly done. That's fun.
Like blue,
not that
yellow.
I own any of this.
I'm just saying, like personally, that's just not my preference.
So when you met her in person, then you were like,
oh my god, she had the long nails and then like the hoop earrings isn't bad, but she had like the real big ones. She just looked different than the way that she portrayed herself. And then I remember like literally, I was kind of fucked up because I'm normally good at talking, and we were like 10 minutes in, and then like I just remember I told her I'm gonna go to the restroom, and I just left. That's fucked up. But that was the only time I ever did it.
I've never had that happen. Thank God. But I would be pissed.
Because it's like I said, I can converse well and like talk about any situation.
Like I mean,
I didn't want that conversation
to be like this.
So I just left. But no, I've had plenty of dates. I know. But I have plenty of dates where during the whole date we talk, and then like in my mind it's like, no, it's not gonna work. Like you see things differently than I do. You have different views, and I tell them. I was like, hey, like I think you're a cool person. You're a beautiful woman, but we're just not on the same level. Like you are at this point, I'm at this point, and that's it. And I've actually continued friendships with some of those women that they're like, hey, you know what? Like, I've never had a guy tell me that. They normally just like blow me off or lead me on or try to hook up with me, and then they stop talking to me. Mm-hmm. It's like, nah, it's like I'm not gonna waste my time. Like I said, like I'm older, I'm 32 years old. Like I'm not gonna be I don't have time to be like texting 10 women and see what I can do. Like that's not me. So I'll much rather just have that conversation. But again, for the most part, I'm like that girl is just like, I was in the restroom literally like, what am I gonna tell her? I could lie, but then like I don't like to lie, so I just decided, you know, I'm just gonna leave, and I just walked out the back of the mirror, took off, and then I blocked her.
Oh, yeah.
I blocked her, but again, that was just a one-time thing. I feel terrible about it. It's just, it was just, you know.
Maybe that's why you're single. Karma.
That was one time. I'm not gonna lie. So like I said, when I was younger,
I think maybe the only thing that I do, like if I'm over a date, like if you're talking to me, like I will literally be like, mm-hmm.
Oh, just like ignoring.
Oh, okay. Yeah, or like if we're at a dinner, then I'm like, trying to finish my
hurry
food
up.
and be like, all right, I've like thought about doing those excuses where it's like, hey, I'm on a date, call me in an hour.
Oh yeah,
Like an emergency.
yeah.
If I don't go through with it,
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you. I've never done that. I've always wanted to though, but I haven't.
should.
But no, I'm just like
Yeah, you
fully
seem too. You seem too upfront to be even doing that. Like I feel like you're just like.
So like I'm just completely like I'm uninterested, and if you're not picking up the clues, then
Yeah, so that's another thing.
on
It's like
you.
I'm really great at like reading the room, right? So
Yeah.
like I can tell if like a woman's not interested. But so for me, it's like I own up to who I am, how I was, and who I currently am, right? Because like I said, I was terrible. I was like a real piece of shit when I was younger, like 100%. Like all of my relationships, like I cheated on all of them. So, but look, the
But
reason.
people have their flaws.
So the reason that I'm so open with that because I cheated all the way up into my son's mom, right?
Mhm.
I never cheated on any women that I dated after that.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And it's because like I feel like you gotta go through it and really understand the impact of what you do that affects relationships or other people around you. And then when if you don't get that understanding when you're older, you're never gonna understand that. So I understand I don't want that bullshit anymore. I don't want the stressing, the constant back and forth, the hiding texts, the this and that in a relationship. Like I said, like I'm older, my time is real valuable. Like I don't want to be doing none of that bullshit. So now I don't do it, but it's because I know what comes with it. So I'm not gonna be like, oh yeah, like hey, like let me talk to this person and like she thinks we're exclusive and we're dating, but I'm also talking to like these 5 women. Like I don't do that. Yeah. But it's just because, like I said, I feel like every man is capable of that, but men that are faithful, they have that understanding. Mm-hmm. But I'm also big on people are only. I don't know if you ever heard this phrase, but people are only loyal to what they can get. You know, you're only loyal up to your options. So think about it. If a man was married, let's say, and he had supermodels throwing themselves at him every day, do you think that guy can stay loyal? Or vice versa. Say a woman is married to a guy and there is just these hot, attractive, better off men.
I think it depends on.
Oh yeah, I'm not gonna say everybody will fold, right, or whatever, but I feel like the majority of people would do that. More men. I wouldn't say women would do that more often, but I feel like men, they're only loyal up to their options. Mm-hmm. Like if they were married, let's say their wife was average or whatever, but they had constantly had women hitting on them every day, I don't think that guy could stay loyal for a long time. That's also a big thing.
And I think it's also timing. I feel like too when it comes. Well, I don't really know, to be honest.
Nah, I was gonna say because I'm telling you, there's some men that understand it. There's some men that don't. There's some men that understand it younger. There's some men that understand it when they get older. I think it's real specific for a person, but I don't know. It's it's just so crazy. That's why I try not to think about it. I just leave it alone. If it happens, hey, I'm cool with this person, we're friends, and then we just started dating, and then from there, I feel like that has a way more chance of working out rather than hey, I like you, you like me, let's go out from day one, and that's it. I feel if you're friends first, if you can tolerate that person as a friend,
well, see,
you can definitely do that.
On that perspective, what's the difference then of me being hey, look, this is my friend?
No, you can have friends and just not have your kid around too often. I'm not saying wait a year. I'm for me, my opinion, this is my opinion, is if I am not even on a friend to dating, I'm saying if I'm dating somebody, if I'm dating that person, I do feel probably 6 months is probably a good time frame. Could be more, it could be less, but like for me, it's like I think in 6 months you can really understand a person. You don't 100% know them, but you know enough to make the decision of like, hey, is this person good for me? Is this person good for my kid? Is this person good with my family? Like, just so much stuff. You know what I mean? Like, it get into the real detailed like of what that person needs to meet, what criteria they need to meet in order for them to move forward. I feel like I need to be dating somebody for 6 months before I can even like be like, hey, this is my kid. Personally, some people may say 3 months. Some people may say a month. Because I do agree that you do want to introduce them to your kids, like sooner than later, but just not so fast.
Yeah.
That's
I mean, it also depends, right? Like, I mean, if you barely know this person, like if you met somebody off of an app, then yeah, you're gonna need a lot more time to actually know who this person is, right? Yeah. But if it's somebody that you've already known, and then just like you said, like let's say you're friends, and you already know this person for a year, and you guys decide like, hey, you know what? I have feelings for you. Let's start dating. So then at that point, do you have to wait a whole other 6 months?
That's a good question. I would say no. I would say in that circumstance probably no,
know.
because you already know them. Well, I wouldn't. Okay, so I wouldn't
So
do
let's
it
say
right
that you're
away.
friends, but then
Yeah.
maybe you've never met your son. Let's say you've been friends for a year, but they still never have met your kids.
I would still
As
wait.
a friend.
I would still wait because there's a big difference of knowing somebody on a friendship level than in a dating level. I feel like I do. I feel like my female friends will not know me in depth like the person sleeping in my bed every night. They're not gonna know me in depth. They're gonna know me. Like they know my situation, they know my likes, my dislikes, like whatever, but they're not gonna know me. So I would still wait. I wouldn't like probably wait 6 months, but I'll probably wait like a few months and to be like, okay, I know this person in a platonic level, but now I know this person in an intimate level. Okay. So then I'm like, all right.
You can build on that and make sure that you guys are actually on a relationship, intimate level, and it's going the way that
100%.
That makes sense.
Yeah. But it's just crazy. Being a single parent is hard, right? Being a single mom is hard. I feel like being a single father, people dismiss it because the consensus is that like guys only see their kids every other weekend, right? And it's probably true. I don't know the statistics behind it, but that's probably true. But I know a lot of
there's a lot of not biases, a lot of stereotypes. Like, especially like if it's a single dad, and let's say he has like sole custody of the kid. No, there's already a stereotype like the mom must have done something wrong.
Yes.
For the dad to have the kid.
Exactly.
Not that maybe
not that the dad is the best person,
yes,
the best parent.
The best fit for the kid.
Exactly. That's what I don't like.
That's what I see a lot of times when I do see people like, oh yeah, like, you know, it's him and his kid, and you're like, oh my god, what happened with the mom? She must have done something, you know? And then like I hear that a lot, and I'm like, why is that like the thing? But I guess it's a stereotype.
See, the fact that you said it already means that everybody thinks that way. That's the problem. Mm-hmm. Like I advocate so much for single fathers who are good fathers. Mm-hmm. Like, don't get me wrong, I have friends who don't see their kids. That's fucked up, right? Do I associate myself with them too much? Like, not really, but like I've known them for 15 years, so I can't just like stop talking to somebody. But I have a lot of friends who are single fathers who are great fathers, awesome fathers who are better than the mother. Yeah. And even though it's like a marginalized,
but they still have like the generic every other weekend.
Yeah, exactly. And so I advocate and I try to help every guy that is in a situation, because like, so when I separated from my son's mom, it was easy or whatever for a while, and then when she found out that I was dating, she flipped and fucking did all like the worst things that you can ever imagine. Like she did that, and she like sent me to court. She was like making false accusations that I was stalking her at work, that I was threatening her, and I was all this and that, and I was like, and they brought me to a detective's house or a detective's office, and they were like, yeah, like this and that. I'm like, here's my phone. Check my phone. I was like,
You know, that's like my biggest pet peeve. Don't take it out on your kid. Like,
yes,
don't, like,
exactly.
I don't care if you don't like me.
Exactly.
I don't care that you know
that we don't work out.
That's our own bullshit. But
don't use your kid as a weapon, and that's what I'm saying. And that's so maybe
like even me, like okay, me and my ex, we didn't get along. We don't get along. We don't like each other.
Yeah,
you know,
I'm the same way.
And we're like fighting because he will refuse to sign for a passport for my son because I would like to travel with him. And there's no reason why, you know, like there's no valid reason. Like whenever I ask him, like, why can't you send the passport? He's like, well, you don't need it, you know? But I went through a point where I was like, you know what? I've been so flexible with you. I'm letting you see.
You can take a report for that, you know that.
Well, I'm in the process of it, but that's besides the point, right? So now I'm like, you know, whenever you want to see your kid, you can see him. Just let me know.
Yeah.
But then I got to the point where I'm like, dude, you think you could just take advantage of me all the time? I've been so nice. I've been trying, you know what I mean? And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to keep you two. You can only see him on your weekends only. And it was tough on his schedule because his schedule was always changing, so he couldn't always see him on his weekends. And even though he would get after me and be like, you're trying to keep me away from my son, this, and that, and I'd be like, well, if you would sign the passport, I will let you see your son whenever you want. But it came to a point where I had to step aside from my own feelings and my own reactions towards the way he was interacting with me. And I'm like, it's not fair for if he's actually wanting, because there was a time where he was not really around that much.
Yeah.
Like if he's actually wanting to spend time with his son and I'm being salty because he's being salty because, you know, X, Y, and Z, like now I'm still being petty because it's not fair to Cairo.
Yeah.
Like, so now I'm at the point where I'm like, you know what, fine. Whatever days you're available to see your son because your son fucking misses you, you can see him. If you don't want to sign the paperwork, we'll take care of that legally. Regardless if I get that or not, it's not a big deal, but it's a big deal for me to take that out of Cairo to not allow his father to see him on the days that that's not okay. And and so now I'm back at that point where I'm like, whenever you're free, let me know in advance, in a timely manner, and you can see your son whenever you're free if it's appropriate.
Yeah, no, and that's what sucks, and I feel like a lot of failed relationships with kids end up that way, right? Mm-hmm. And it sucks, and it's always like 9 times out of 10, it's like whenever like the mom is good, they have a fucked up like father, and then vice versa. I think if the father is good, they have a fucked up mom. Like it's always like one or the other. Like mm-hmm. It's never a good separation. It's like, hey, you go your way, I go my way. Like let's co-parent correctly. Like it's hard.
I've heard some people can. You know?
No, like
I feel like we were both when we separated. Me and my son's dad. When we separated, we were both just like, I wish you were dead. Like I want to kill you. Like we were both in a very bad place. And now we're slowly but surely like calming down.
So like, yeah, no, don't get me wrong. I know some people who have great co-parenting. Like they still hang out like as a family, you know what I mean? Even though like they're doing all of that, like you know the other person's dating somebody else or vice versa. Mm-hmm. Like one of my exes, she had a great co-parenting situation with her ex-husband, and like he would like come around sometimes or whatever. I find it kind of weird, but at the same time, it's like
also may just have to deal with how the breakup happened.
Yeah,
like
so,
if it was ugly, it's gonna be messy.
Well,
you know, like if they were like, hey, you know what, I'm not happy, you're not happy, great, I'm not happy, let's just split up.
But even if it was bad, it like so in her situation, like he cheated on her, and then she divorced him, and then like he was good though. Like he was like, hey, whatever you need, blah blah blah, like all good. But I feel like even if it ended badly, like it still should be good no matter what. So like,
especially for the kid, yeah.
Exactly. So my perspective is like, so again, I admit that I was primarily the reason why it didn't work out with like my son's mom, right? Because I fucked up a lot. But in my mind, it was like, okay, cool. You do your thing, date whoever you want, do whatever you want as long as it doesn't affect my son. Like, we're good, right? But once she found out that I was dating, that's when she just flipped the lid because, like, she straight up told me, she was like, no, like, you're always going to be mine. But she wanted to do her own thing. But she always wanted me to be there. I was like, no, fuck that, right? And then once that happened, and she because for a whole year we were co-parenting fine, but once it happened, she set me to court and all that.
Yeah.
And I went through so much. I spent tens and thousands of dollars on lawyers and court fees and all that. That's why I try to help out my friends as much as possible. I tell them, like, hey, this is what you need to do. This is the type of motion that you need to do. That's how I know about the passport, because I was going through the same thing.
So what do you have to? I got a lawyer.
Yeah,
I have to go back to court to
Yeah.
try to, because I cut his child support in half. I cut his back pay in half. Everything, because he didn't pay child support. Because my son's 3. He just turned 3 in January, and he barely started paying child support.
Why did you cut it in half?
Because I wanted him to sign the damn passport.
Nah.
So he didn't want.
He didn't.
So he hadn't paid child support at all. Like right before he turned 3, we went to court, and so it was like they were like, okay, this is gonna be his child support, and he owes a back payment of like $12,000 of child support, and he was just like, I don't deserve to pay any of that. I don't deserve to be put on child support. I don't deserve to pay back pay. And I'm like, dude, I literally haven't asked you for any help. And I was like,
you shouldn't have.
And I told him that I would put him on child support unless he signed for the passport, and he refused. So that's why I went through with child support.
Nah, even
and
if
so
he
then
did,
while we were in court, I was like, he kept trying to because we had a negotiator go back and forth. It was like a Zoom.
Oh yeah, that's how.
And so she was like, he said that if you drop the back pay, he'll sign for the passport. And I'm like, I'm not gonna drop the back pay. He hasn't paid for nothing. So then I said, I'll cut it in half. And your child support, I'll cut it in half if you sign the passport. And he was like, okay. And the lady was like, okay, we signed the paperwork. He still has not signed the passport.
Well, you can do
you know
so.
what I mean? Like,
So
I got a lawyer. He pulled it in like a file to motion to like redo that whole thing, the whole like child support situation.
Yeah. So this is what I was gonna tell you. So you didn't have to do that, because if you just go by the standard, he's on child support according to how much he makes, what have you, and then you tell him, hey, I want the passport for X, Y reasons. He says no. Okay, that's fine. Then you get a lawyer. If you already have child support and you already have like standard custody in place, then you can get a lawyer and he can just do a motion to modify that, and the modification is the passport. And because if he doesn't want to sign it, you go to court. You go to court in front of a judge, and then you present your reasoning to the judge. Hey, I want a passport because I like for me, because I went through the same shit.
I want to travel all.
No, it's not even that. It's like my thing is I have a family in Mexico. I go to Mexico City at least like twice a year.
Yeah.
Sometimes 3 times a year. Sometimes we vacation.
We had an entire family reunion last year in Mexico, because my family's from Mexico too, and I had to leave them behind.
Yeah, that's a great reason. So you go and you tell them, the judge makes their decision. Like, okay, this is a valid reason of wanting a passport, because they go to Mexico. He's like, I had to provide like addresses of my family. I had to provide dates and all that. So because you can't just say stuff.
Yeah.
And the judge is going to go for it. Like, you need credibility, right? So that motion to modify, and it's done. Thankfully, we didn't get to that point because she agreed to sign it. Because I told her, it's like, you don't gotta do shit. Like, I paid for it. I did everything. Like, all you gotta do is literally go downtown.
Sign it. That's it.
And she did. But she fucked up though, because she signed the wrong paper, and it was so fucked up. I don't know if she did it on purpose or not, because there's a passport card, which is just U.S.
Yeah.
And then the passport book, which is international.
Yeah.
She filed the card, and I set it up to where I had some time to like expedite, and they'll get it in time. And then by the time I got it, I was like, this isn't fucking it. I didn't have enough time to get the passport, and I already had paid like $1,000, and I couldn't get it back because he couldn't go. Like, my son couldn't go. That was the first time. And I remember at that, actually.
Well, how long did it take for you to get all that, because like I've been waiting for a couple months now
To what?
to get over to the court to redo my custody.
Oh, that's easy. So okay, so this is what I'm gonna tell you.
I don't know, my lawyer is just
So
pressing.
no. So look, this is 100% true.
Alright.
I went through 4 lawyers in the past almost 5 years.
So you don't even need a lawyer if you know what you're doing.
No, I recommend lawyers because it's not about what they know exactly. That's part of it. It's about the relationships that they have with judges, with other people who do mediation. Like, you're paying for that. Honestly, that's really what you're paying for. But the best thing, if I tell you, is pay your lawyer. Pay your lawyer. My lawyer is on retainer all of the time. So if I tell him that I need something done, my retainer is already full with him. Like, I pay him $800 anytime he has to file a motion, do calls, do whatever. So that's always paid up. So if anything happens right now, I call him and be like, hey, this is what I need done. He'll do it.
Who's your lawyer?
I'll give you the info. He's really good because after so many lawyers, like, I have so much information now that I'm like, fuck, if I would have known this when I started, I would have said fuck you to this person, like, I have my rights. Yeah. But so I told this last lawyer, he's really great, and I had the conversation with him because, again, I was young, I didn't know. I told him, like, look, this is what I need done. I want you to fight for it. If you don't want to fight for it, tell me so I won't fucking hire you. I just want you to fight. If I see that you're fighting for what I want, even though you may think that I'm not going to win, I want this, you fight for it, then that's it, do your job.
Show me.
And because so many lawyers in the beginning, it's just like, all right, pay me, that's it, we did this, and like, I don't think that you can do that. No, fuck that. Like, I want you to just fight for me for what I want and then go from there, right? Mm-hmm. So I went through so much. I had to pay so much money for, like, mediators, other fucking lawyers, like court fees and all this shit, like modifications. And then what I was going to tell you is, like, let's say he doesn't want to, let's say y'all have that in writing, right? In paper that a judge signed. It's important. If the judge signed it and he needs to do it and he hasn't done it, go to your lawyer and say, hey, I want a motion to enforce. Okay, enforce what? Enforce this, that he needs to sign this, and then he can get in trouble if he doesn't. So that's what I'm telling you. If you already have it in paper, if you don't have it in paper that he needs to sign it and the judge hasn't signed off on it, then go to court. Mm-hmm. Say, hey, motion to modify this specific thing, I want my passport, and then that's it. And that's what I'm telling him. Because trust me, like, in the beginning, not now, but every time I would get those fucking court letters, like, my heart was fucking dropped because I'm like, fuck, I gotta go to court. Like, yeah. Now, I don't give a fuck. Like, you can like subpoena me to go to court any fucking time. I don't give a fuck. Like, my lawyer's good to go. I'm good with him. Like, I fucking know the process. Like, nobody can get one over me anymore just because I went through. I'm still going through it. Like, me and her are still going to court because just bullshit, like petty shit. Like, I want to put my son in private school. She doesn't want me to. Like, what kind of fucking mother does it? Like, if you're
like, why not? Like,
okay,
right?
so let me tell you. Let me explain. But just the outside of it, right? Let's say your son's dad is like, hey, I want to put him in private school. And you're like, and then he tells you, you don't have to pay nothing. All you have to do is just help me pick him up and drop him off. That's it. But
well, I want to know the school and approve of the school.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely.
Other than that, no, no problem.
Absolutely. Like, let's just say, hey, we both have to agree on it.
Yep.
But I'll take care of it. I'll pay for it. All you have to do is just pick them up and drop them off on the days that you have. That's it, right? Mm-hmm. Why would anybody say no then? Your child is getting a better education. Her reasoning was that, so when I started dating her, she had an 8-month-old daughter, and she never met her biological father at that time. So when I started dating her, I was like, okay, this is what I want. Like, I want to be her father. I want you. I want a family. So that's what happened. And then shortly after is like my son's planned. Right, like I 100% wanted my son. I wanted to have a kid, and she got pregnant shortly after that. She was living in El Paso. I flew her over here. We started our lives, right, like our family. And I raised her. That's my daughter. Will always be my daughter. I raised her until she was 5, right? So she was like, well, I don't want you to because my daughter's not gonna be able to go to private school. Which I was like, okay, I get it, but that's not my fault. So whenever we separated, she didn't allow me to see my daughter. I don't see my daughter, right? So for me, it's like, okay, like I get it. She put her biological father in the picture. She put him on child support so she can get more money, blah blah blah. And I was like, okay, it's unfortunate. I was depressed for a while because of that situation, but I was like, okay, that happened a long time ago. Now, current time, my priority is my son. And I'm like, okay, I get what you're saying, but that's not my problem.
That's true.
Like, her father, I don't know if he can afford it or not. Like,
you're gonna like, unlike where we were starting, like, why are you gonna take that out on your son? Like, your daughter's not gonna.
Yeah.
She might feel a certain type of way about it when she's older, but like you should be able to help her understand that it's for the,
like that's what
for
I'm
the
saying.
you want your sibling to have the best as well. And if you're not able to provide it for one child, like I understand you can feel guilty, but you should want to be able to build up your family member, your sibling. You know,
Well, even
like,
at that, take the approach of like, let's say you want both of your kids in private school. All you have to do is just pay for one.
Yeah.
The other one is good. Now you have, if you want your kid in another one in private school, then you pay for it. If her father doesn't help, okay, but you at least can still do it. Like, why is that a problem? Like, you're telling me a reason that has nothing to do that affects me and my son. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like shit like that. It's always little bullshit. That's why I don't like her. Because of that, we always argue. Like, I blocked her so much. Like, I haven't physically seen her or talked to her on the phone in like 2 years, like 2 to 3 years, because I fucking can't stand her. But like, it got to the point where the court had to intervene and be like, hey, there's a co-parenting app that records everything, and like, y'all need to communicate. Like, by law, you need to communicate with the other parent.
But there's an app?
There's an app that it's court appointed that y'all both have to download, and you can send messages, you can send money, you can send calendar invites, you can even do phone calls. But like, I told her, like, no, don't fucking call me, just message me. Because she'd be like, oh, let me like talk to my son, or like, let me FaceTime. I'm like, no, fuck no. Like, you never were able to do that in the past. Like, don't even fucking ask for it now, because it's not gonna happen. I don't want you to have my number. I don't want you to, like, nothing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like, no, like, cheese. So.
But see, like, I would like to have that too. I mean, just because, like, there are times.
I wish I had it.
Where I'm like.
No, I wish I had that communication with her. Like, it went, like, I hated that I can't talk to my son in the week that I didn't have.
Yeah,
right?
Okay.
I hate that. But it's like, I would much rather be at peace. Because with her, it's always some dumb bullshit all the fucking time. So I was like, you know what? I just told her, take care of my son, because if anything happens, I'm taking your fucking ass to court, and I'm just waiting for you to fuck up so I can take him away from you. Like, I'm always on your ass because I want my son. And so I don't know if that's the reason why, like, my son is good. He doesn't tell me there's any issues. But my thing is like, yeah, I wish I could call her and be like, hey, let me talk to my son. Let me tell him good night. Like, how... Then he talks to him after school, like, how did his day went. Of course, I would love that shit. But if I have to put up with her bullshit to have that, then I'm not gonna have it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think she's a bad mom. I just think she's incompetent. Like, she is just not as good as me. Simple as that. Like, she, like, I don't want to talk shit about her, but it's just the facts. She doesn't make as much money as I do. She has another child, and then she has like stepkids that she has to worry about. She has a relationship that she has to worry about. She like likes to go out a lot and like have friends. She has like her social life to like keep up with. I don't have none of that shit. Like, my friends, literally, we're all parents. We're all homeowners. We're all fucking. We talk about fucking like lawnmowers that we just bought. We talk about like, hey, I fix a gutter in my house. Like, that's the conversations that we have. Like, we don't go out, get fucked up. We don't like do this and that. So it's like, and then I don't have a relationship. I don't have any other kids. I don't have nothing. I don't have nothing that would hinder my ability to be the best father that I can, right?
Yeah.
And she does. So it's like, if any judge could see that, is like, I think it would be easier. Like, okay, like, he's better off with his dad because he can provide better. He has more time. I work from home. He's
have
always
more
with
attention.
me. Exactly. But no, because it's fucking Texas and it's more with the mother all the fucking time. It is what it is.
But your son is good, so on a positive note.
He's
Even
good.
though I know you wish you would have him more, but he is still doing well.
He's good, but he could be better. That's my
I think at the age of, I don't know if this is true. I haven't looked it up yet, but somebody did tell me at the age of 13, they
12.
It's 12.
Yeah.
Just
Even at that, that's not concrete.
Really?
So yes. So at the age of 12, a child can go in front of a judge and say, "Hey, I want to go with my dad."
Mhm.
Right? That doesn't mean it's gonna happen. They still have to understand. They have to investigate the dad and his situation. Because if his dad's a fucking junkie
let's say there was nothing,
yeah,
your
there's no
son
reason,
did, right?
yeah.
There's nothing to
If
hinder
there's
you,
no
then
reason,
they would.
then yeah, you most likely will get it. And it's funny you say that because me and my mom, my mom, that's her only grandchild. She loves him more than I do. My mom loves my son. And she's again, she hasn't worked. She's been retired. She just is a homemaker, right?
Mm-hmm.
So her life is my son. And we always talk about it. I'm like, don't worry. At age 12, when we go back to court, my son's gonna be with me.
Well, see, now it's my last resort. So ultimately, and I've had this discussion with his dad. I've always wanted to move out of the States.
Yeah, that's another situation. I couldn't move. I got many job offers out of state, but I can't do it.
My son's dad knows this. When we were together, he knew that was in my plans. And so part of me is thinking that he thinks that if he signs the passport, I will up and leave. And so I have communicated this with him.
No, that's not true.
I'm like, look, I don't know, maybe that's why you're hesitant to sign the passport, but I will never take your son away from you. I will never just pick him up, pack my bags, and move out of the United States of America.
Yeah, so if y'all have that border and there's that, it's a geographical restriction.
Well, no, and I've also, though, gone as far as, because ultimately I want to move when my son is around 10, 12 years old. So I was like, ultimately, if I do end up finding a good property out there and have everything that lines up, would you want to move with us, platonically, right, to the same area? Mm-hmm. And I will cover moving expenses and all of that, as long as you can find a job as well. Is that something you would possibly consider? And he was like, no, never, of course not. I'm like, okay, well then that's something that we're gonna have to decide on how we're gonna take care of.
So
and he was just like, oh, well then I'm just gonna keep Cairo, you're gonna leave your son. And I'm like,
so that's a tough one because even if you have full custody, full primary, anything, you still really can't do that.
Well, no, I wouldn't move with Cairo without him.
No, that's what I'm saying. Because that was my thing. It's I wanted to move, but even if I had full custody of my son and I was the primary custodian, I still wouldn't because we have it in the let's just say she had the standard orders of every other weekend. Mm-hmm. In the standard setup for the other parent, you still have a restriction on there. You can't move without the other parent giving you permission or just giving up your rights.
Yeah. And then I do know that, and that's what I was trying to let him know. I would never do that. I wouldn't just leave with Cairo without your consent or without you coming with us. And that's why I need to know now if that's ever going to be a possibility.
Yeah.
And he straight up said no. So I'm like, okay, perfect. So then we kind of need to get working on how we're going to make this work out when it comes to the point in time that I do move out. Yeah. And that's when somebody was like, well, around that age of, 12, the kid can decide who he wants to live with. So if at that point he does want to live with you, but his dad won't allow him to, right? If we get down to,
that's what I'm saying.
He's 3 years old, so I'm not stressing about it now.
You still got a while, but
I still want him to grow up here for now.
Yeah, no, he. So even if that happens, again, the other parent still has rights.
Yeah.
So they can still fight you and be like, hey, I don't want you to move, and they have a really good chance of making you not move because, again, they have rights. Especially there's no issues on his side.
Yeah.
But if he was like, if he like had a criminal record, if he was getting locked up, if he had like a history with drugs, a history of abuse, then maybe that could be like, hey, you know what? It's all court. It's all something that you have to fight for. So I'm not saying nothing is impossible, but if it's just standard, like it's really hard for that to happen.
Well, I just ultimately think it would be unfair for me to be like.
Well, it depends. If he's not good, if that person is not good to their child, then yeah, to make that decision.
No, he's a good dad.
That's what I'm saying. If that's not the case, then yeah, you don't want to do that to your son, like, or you don't want to do that to your child. Period. Like I wouldn't do that. Like again, I don't think my son's mom is the best mom, but at the same time, it's like he loves her, right? Like he needs to be around her. So it's like I would never be like, no, I'm gonna have full custody. You're never gonna see your mom. Like no, absolutely, that's fucked up. Like mentally, that's gonna be fucked up. But I do want him the majority of the time because I feel like his chances in life are way higher if he's with me. Like he has a better chance in being successful and all of this. Like my son is everything. Like I'm not really religious, but I want him to have a foundation of like God. So I like right now he's been baptized, he's going through his first communion classes. I have him in extracurricular activities. He's in jiu-jitsu. He's about to start soccer. Like everything, right? That I do. That's time and resources out of me because it's like my kid, of course, and his mom hasn't done shit.
Yeah.
And at that, she prevents me to fucking do it. She's like, no, well, you can't pick him up until 6:30, which like he can't go to his practices at that time. Yeah. So I had to pay money to my lawyer, go fucking to court, and fight to get to have him pick him up after school, and then I had to do that, but. I wasted time. I wasted another $2,000. I wasted all this shit, like, just to get that shit done. When all she could have been like, oh yeah, you're doing this for him. Like, well, I mean, it's cool. She didn't have to sign shit. She could have just let me be like, yeah, pick him up at 3 after school instead of 6.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like
I'm trying to make it harder on you because the bitterness.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's what I'm saying. Like people always tell me, it's like she's probably not happy. Like she's in a whole another relationship, all this and that. And I'm like, and I tell her straight up when she argues with me, I was like, are you not fucking happy? Like why the fuck are you still fucking with me? Like why? Like I wanted to take my son to Mexico again because the last time I took him to Cancun for his birthday and she found out and she took me to court because she was like, he didn't ask me permission to take him. I was like, okay, why do I need permission to celebrate my son's birthday in Mexico? What the fuck is the problem? It's like, well, you can't take him out of the country. I know I'm not, but what the fuck is the problem? And she's just like, well, you shouldn't have done it. That's like bitterness. And I fucking tell her, I was like, is your dude not fucking you right? Like, what the fuck is your problem? Like, leave me the fuck alone. Like, I have no ties to you. I don't give a fuck about you. Why are you bothering me about my son? Right?
Yeah. Like she's making it a thing.
100%. When she, like a normal parent, like if my son tells me, hey, my mom took me to Disneyland, I'm like, oh, that's fucking awesome. Like, did you enjoy it? That's cool. I'm not gonna talk shit to her and be like, you didn't get my permission to take him out of state. Like, of course not. Like, he had a good time. He did something good. And no, but she travels. She doesn't take the kids. She's always fucking going, like, with her friends or some of the bullshit. And in my mind, is like, every time I'm traveling, I want to take my son.
Same.
Like,
yes.
I want to do everything with him. Like,
and it just like sucks because it's like I've like been to a lot of places in the United States already. I don't want to be traveling in the United States. I want to travel overseas now. But what do I want to do? I want to take my fucking son. Like I want to go by myself. Like that's boring. Like I could do it, but like I want to take my son.
Yeah. No, and I'm at that point now where he's old enough so I can go places with him, with just me and him. Like before, it was always family because he was so young, and I wanted that extra, like, assistance. You know what I mean? But now that he's,
I recently booked a trip. It's just funny because I don't know. Maybe I'm just different. I booked a trip to take my son to Disney. He's never flown before. I've never been to Disney World. I've never traveled with him alone. And I booked us both our flights. I booked us a hotel room. I booked us our Disney our Disney tickets, and everybody was like, "Oh, who are you guys going with?" And I'm like, "Me and Cairo." They're like, "You and Cairo," and I'm like, "Yeah, like, you're gonna go by yourself on an airplane with your 3-year-old son, you're gonna go to Disney World, and like everybody was just, I'm like, what's the big deal? Like, I do everything with him now, anyways.
No,
It's like,
I get that.
at some
It's
point
just,
we're
yeah.
gonna learn, but everybody was just, well, we ended up getting COVID, so unfortunately I had to cancel everything, and we didn't go. But everybody, I remember my parents were like, "Oh, thank God, we were so worried. Like, you were giving us so much anxiety just thinking about like being out there in an airplane and then in like a Disney World, like, you know, like it's just a crowded, packed theme park. They were just like so worried that I was gonna, I don't know, like something was gonna happen.
It is,
and I'm like,
because there is a lot. Like, I, even being a guy with my son, like, I always hesitated. Because like I'm one of those people that's always on red. Like I'm like looking at exits, looking at people. Like I'm one of those. I don't know. Naturally, I'm just like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm more calm when I don't have my son because I just have to worry about myself. But like when I have my son, like
maybe that's just the difference between male and female. I'm always like that. So what's the difference when I have my son? Like I'm always just like.
Yeah, no, I get that, but it's just so much more. But like now, my son knows how to like call 911. He knows my full name. He knows my phone number. He's like, if anything happens, like he's better equipped to be in the situation, right? So that's why, because like I remember when he turned 3, I took him to Sam's Wonderland, right, which is only like 2 hours away from here, and we spent the weekend over there. And at that time, I had so much anxiety. I was like, fuck, like just keeping an eye on him like 24/7, making sure he's good. Like I don't know, it's just so much more anxiety. But now he is like, I booked a trip for Chicago for us. Like that's gonna be our first, like outside of Texas by ourselves. You know what I mean? And it's like, and I don't feel as anxious, you know, what I mean? Because he's older. He remembers. He's like better. He can like, you know, he can walk more. He's like better, like suited for the situation.
I know, and everybody was like, "How are you gonna carry like suitcases and your child?" And like, and I was like, "It's fine. Like, it's an adventure, just like every other day. You guys make everything just such a big deal."
I was like, I would never tell people not to do certain things. I would just always tell them to understand every aspect of it, because that is the thing. Like carrying around luggage, carrying around your son. If he's so young enough where he gets tired, you have to pick him up. You have to do this, and that. Like,
I feel like I'm just like I just throw myself in life situations all the time that I'm not like I don't think about like all these extra little things. Like I'm just like, oh, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do it, and I'll figure it out my way, you know. And I get like, yeah, I'm a mom now. It's a little different, but I don't find it like that much different. Like I'm gonna book a ticket, you know, I'm gonna book a tickets to Florida and then figure out a trip along the way.
There's nothing wrong with it, right? I'm like, I would never say like
I pack, like even for trips, like I'll pack stuff and I'll be like, oh shit, I forgot this or I forgot that, and I'm like, okay, well, there's like, I don't ever feel like I can mess up in a way where I can't fix it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh, I forgot this, and go buy something else. Or hey, like, let me do this. Like, I forgot to do this. Or like, let me do this.
Oh man, like the hotel sold out. I'm like, okay, well, we'll go find another hotel.
Yeah, I get that. I get it.
It's no big deal. We lose the luggage, no big deal. Like, it's not, like, nothing is the end of the world.
I like that.
Like if my son has a tantrum in the middle of the airport, then we're both going to sit our asses down in the middle of the airport and take a couple breaths until we decide we need to go. Like,
I like that. I like
just like, I feel like anything at any point in time can become a disaster. It doesn't have to be just certain situations. Like, I could be walking down the street to grab the mail with my son, and it could be like, I don't know, a crazy event could happen that I'm not prepared for. But if I feel like I'm prepared for everything at all times, then it's not going to faze me, you know?
I got you. That's what I'm saying. Like, some people have that mentality and it works great for them because they take more risks, they get better rewarded. Like, so you have that, you know, you have that personality and you can do more things because you're so open. Like, I probably lost out on opportunities or experiences with my son.
I mean, nobody knows. Nobody, like, everything that you experience, there's always a first time.
Yeah. And then especially the other mentality of like, oh, I can overcome anything. Like, then that's fine. To me, it's just like, I was so adventurous and not giving a fuck when I was younger. Like, I didn't give a fuck. I would party. I would literally like go party one weekend and end up in fucking Mexico like fucked up drunk in like some crack house or some shit. Like I've had some wild ass experiences. No, I'm serious. Like I've woken up in jail in Mexico. Like I've woken up in different cities. Like where the fuck am I? But it's like now, like right now, I hate being around people. I don't fucking go out too much. Like I do not feel safe unless I'm at my house or like my mom's house. That's it. Like I'm serious. Like as soon as I get home, as soon as I open my garage and I park in there, I'm serious. I'm like, all right, I'm good. I got cameras everywhere. Like I am safe, right? But like it, that didn't occur until I had my son, because I'm like, I really got to take care of this human. Like I need to do everything that I can. So it really shifted for me, because I'm telling you, if you would have met me when I was 21, you wouldn't be talking to the same person. Like,
I feel that same vice versa. I feel that, vice versa for sure.
Even like 21, even 25, I was different. Like, even though I already had my son, I already had like my house, I already had like the relationship, I was doing the family thing, I still had a different perspective then than I do now. You know what I mean? Yeah. And it's just fucking crazy. I don't know. I love it.
Imagine like when your son hits his teens, then you're gonna have a whole different.
No,
I'm
not even worried about it. I wanted, like, people say that, it's like, oh, wait until he's like rebellious and.
Oh no, I wasn't getting that. I'm just saying you're gonna have a different mentality on what scares you. You know what I mean?
No, it's like, for me, it's like I'm my son's best friend. He's my best friend, right? Like he talks to me about anything. Like I talk to him about everything up to an extent of what a child should know. But like I know for a fact I'm gonna be that parent. It's like if he does something wrong, it's like, oh fuck, I can't tell my dad. He's gonna be like, oh shit, I need to call my dad. Like he'll be the one to know what to do.
And like once we get there, and we're gonna feel just like I feel like I would just feel complete. Like yes, I like fulfilled my purpose. That my son is like I don't want my son to ever feel alone on anything, good, bad, whatever. Like I want him to, if he's excited for something, I want to be the first person he wants to tell. If he's scared for something, I want to be the first person. That's what I'm saying. And if he's worried about or like anything bad happened, I want him to be like, oh mom, I fucked up. I need some help, or I don't know what to do, or maybe you know what, I just need to let you know that I fucked up, and like I just want to be his go-to person.
No, and I feel that I am going to be that. Like I'm already in that position. Like I already feel it that way. Like my son tells me how much he loves me. He tells me that he would much rather be with me than at his mom's. You know what I mean? Like there's so much stuff that I already know and I already feel, but like I have a pretty good grasp on it, and only because I was in his shoes. You know what I mean? I was a young kid, like the same situation. Grew up with like different. You know what I mean? Like my dad over here, my mom over here. Like I understand what he's gonna go through for the most part, right? Yeah. Generational things always different. The culture changes. But for the most part, I know what I'm going to do. So I'm very confident that I'm going to raise him to be a fucking great man. Like, he's going to be able, he's confident, he's smart, he's going to be able to defend himself. He's, like, not going to be scared of the world. Like, the world's a fucked up place, but he's going to be prepared for it. That's all we can do as parents. Yeah. And, like, I think that he's going to be fucking awesome. And, some people have that mentality. It's like, oh, once my kid is 18, like, that's the, my job is over. I'm like, no, fuck no. Like, my son still sleeps with me in my bed every fucking day that he's with me.
I still cuddle with my parents every now and then.
I was saying, like, if my son wants to do that up until whenever, I don't care.
Yeah.
And,
I actually miss, like, how they used to, like, back in the day, everybody lived in, like, these giant, castle homes, and, like, they had all the, like, generations. That's scary. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they do that a lot in Mexico.
Yeah.
I wish they still had that. I mean, we would like.
No, like I used to
want you remember that movie Cheaper by the Dozen?
Yeah.
I used to want 12 lessons, not anymore.
No, I do. Like I always tell everybody, it's like if I won the lottery, I would have as many kids as I can, like 10, 15, 20. Like I love kids. I love family. Like my biggest thing, like everybody's different, but I feel like my happiness will come directly from my children. And like the real time that anybody can ever really be immortal is brought through your kids. Like your kids are always going to be that next generation of you, and then you pass, right? So like kids for me is like my number one thing. The only thing is that they're fucking expensive. Like kids are fucking expensive. Just the fact of everything that you have to do to keep yourself alive, and then adding somebody else is fucking crazy. But I feel like I can maintain 2 kids. Like my son has a trust fund. My son has everything already aligned. Like I said, like he is good right now, and I feel like I can provide that same to another kid. Like I don't want more than 2 kids because financially I don't feel like I can pay $100,000 for a college fund for 3 kids.
Yeah.
I can do it for 1, and then maybe later on in life while like I'm getting better, I can do it for 2. But like 3, 4, 5 kids, that's hard. Especially like let's just say I'm by myself. Like I'm single and I have 1 kid and then 2 kids.
Oh,
so for me, it's like it's just the finances behind it. Like I would want to have 10 kids if I could, but am I going to give those 10 kids the best quality of life? Probably not. But can I give 2 kids the best quality of life? Yeah, fuck yeah. Like they'll be good. But it's just, oh man, it's just so crazy. Like I said, the most important thing is finding the person that you want to have a kid with. That's all that matters. That's all that fucking matters. So if you can do that and marry that person and have kids, perfect. Because I'm not big on marriage, just because I don't like the government being involved in like a person's
I think
relationship.
it's just the commitment for me, because I was always the same way. See, like when I met my baby daddy and we talked about it, I was like, I don't really want to get married. He's like, oh, okay. And then it just got to the point where, oh, one day I'm gonna marry you, one day I'm gonna marry you, and like he was inconsistent. So it got to a point where I'm like,
But it doesn't matter though.
well, no, for me it was like I was never enough for him to get, because he would always say, oh, I'm gonna marry you, but I don't have the money right now for a ring. Or I'm gonna marry you, but I don't have the money right now for a house. I don't want to marry you because I can't buy a house yet. Like he always had so many factors. So
But is marriage really a big deal?
And no, and it's not. So, but for me, it was like you keep bringing all of this up that you never.
But let's just say he said, I don't want to marry you. How would you take it?
It wouldn't be a big deal, but the fact is that he kept saying, once
So
I
the
have
problem
this, once I
was
have that, but he
kept
could never.
dragging you on about
Yeah, like he could never commit enough to make it a priority to get it done.
But
Does
let's
that make
just say he was like, hey, like I don't never want to get married, not with you or anybody. I just don't want to get married. Would you still be with him?
Not in our situation, no. But if back then,
Yeah, like if
he
you had
said
that conversation in the beginning.
then I would have been like, yeah, sure, that's fine. That's not a
So you
problem.
don't think that your mind would change later on in the relationship about that?
It didn't when we were together. We were together for 6 years, and I was never once like.
Well, then I feel like it shouldn't have been a big issue. Because my thing is, my question to everybody that I talk to about this is like, if you're in a let's say we're in a relationship, right, and I tell you I love you, right? Do you think that I love you less if I say I don't want to marry you?
No, but if you say, I want, like, for me now, I want to be a wife. I want to be proposed to because I feel like that's a big commitment.
Okay.
And if you're going to commit to me and actually go through with the proposal, then you feel like that commitment.
So you don't think that
Like I guess like I'm worth for you to make that commitment towards me.
So
you know what I mean?
So if a guy, so you think a guy's not committed to you unless he marries you?
Now, currently, yes.
So you think a guy can't love you and commit to you unless he signs a piece of paper saying that?
Not if he signs a piece of paper, but if he shows some way of commitment, like, okay.
Yeah, like, let's just say he's the best boyfriend.
Let's say we live a married life without a marriage, that's fine.
That's fine.
But the thing is, with my ex, it was always, oh, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that.
Yeah, like he gave you false promises. But
we
I'm just
were
saying,
literally just boyfriend, girlfriend the whole time. There was never like, hey, let's look into getting a house. Or like, hey, let's, like, we never went down that you're my forever person. Like, it never felt like that.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, like, once I get enough money or once I do this, like, so if it was that important to you, because you're the one telling me, but you still can't get your shit together to do what you say you want to do for me, then that just shows me you don't really take me seriously. Does that make sense?
No, I get that. But going
But
forward,
I don't think that you need a piece of paper. I don't think marriage is like that. I'm not.
so I'm saying, so like, let's say you meet somebody
Mhm.
tomorrow, he is the perfect one for you. Like he hits all the criteria, right? And then, but he tells you from the beginning, he's like, I don't ever want to get married, but I will be with you. I would love you, and I will be with you for the rest of my life.
I have no problem with that.
That's fine.
Yeah.
And you don't think that in the future that would ever be a problem for you?
No.
Okay. That's so. My biggest thing is that so I went one up further than that. I was like, look, I don't want to ever have a marriage license, but I'll have a wedding. Like I'll give you a ring. You don't need a wedding. You don't need a ring to have a marriage license.
Mm-hmm.
That you sign that paper after you do that. You don't need to do one to get the other.
Yeah.
So I'm like, look, I'm about the union, the celebration of a union. I'm about the celebration of two people coming together, celebrating that relationship. Cool. I'm down to have a wedding. I'm down to propose to you and give you a ring and like have the marriage like a church wedding. I just won't sign a piece of paper saying that from the government
needs
ties,
to get involved.
the government ties saying that I am legally tied to you. That's what I don't want.
I don't think that's necessary either. You know, but like when I met my ex, I never cared for marriage. I never cared for a wedding or any of that. I just thought it was pointless, right? Because you're going to be with somebody or you're not, and that's it.
That's it. Exactly how it should be.
And it wasn't until like I had my kid that like I would see like these not extravagant, but just like very like emotional and caring like proposals. And for whatever reason, I was just like, I want that. Like, I don't know why, but I feel like I want that. And then I've been to my friends' weddings, and they're just so happy, like the celebration, like I'm like, I want that.
That's cool. Like, I'm down for that. Like, that should occur. Like, you should have a celebration. And then that's why,
like, I think when we were like earlier, I'm like, I feel like it just takes a lot for a person to go through with that kind of commitment to go through all of that. Like, even with my ex, he never once proposed. It was always like, I'm gonna marry you one day.
Honestly, look,
or like, if I propose, would you say yeah? Like, don't fucking ask me that. Like, be a man, take a chance, and propose.
So I agree with you, but also to add to that is, I was the exact same way with my son's mom. I told the exact same thing. Hey, I will eventually marry you. Let's get our shit together. Like, let's do this, and that, and then yeah, we'll get married. I mean, we already have kids. We already have that life. So I had the same mentality. But for me was, okay, we started off with nothing. Like when I spent like the last few amount of money that I had so she can fly over here to bring all her stuff, like I was still living at my mom's. Right, and she came to live at my mom's house with me. Like we were in one room, 3 of us, right? So I was like, look, let's get where we need to be, and then we can talk about like the pleasures of life, right? So we started off, and again, she didn't work for like the first 2.5 years of our relationship. So we started off there. We got our own apartment, and then I rented a house, and then I eventually bought a house, right? Like I bought us a house. And in that time, like we put money in the bank, in our savings. I bought 2 other vehicles. Like we did a lot. We gained so much in that short period of time. But as soon as we got where we wanted to be, like I think 2 months after I closed on the house, we weren't even fully moved in yet. We called it quits. You know what I'm saying? So like we never even get to that point. And maybe that was part of the reason why she left me. Like, this guy couldn't even marry me, that type of thing. But she already knew where I was at, right? But
well, see, like, and too though, you were making progress.
Yeah, no, I made all of the progress.
You were, and so for me, my ex, it was always one thing or another. Like, it's not right, it's not this, it's not, and I'm just like, dude, it doesn't matter to me.
No, but you know what I mean? But also to your point.
So like, for somebody who's as inconsistent as.
I get that.
Hey, I want to marry you, but there's all these obstacles, but he can't overcome any of the obstacles, and
so
like we're progressing. And you were telling me, like, you know, and it's like at one point, it's like
But
if
honestly,
I meant that much to you, and this meant so you, because he wanted me so, he said he wanted me so badly to be his wife. But if you wanted me to be your wife so badly enough, why didn't you prioritize the things that you found important to be able to propose to me,
exactly.
so that way I could be your wife? You never did that. It was all talk.
So,
you know what I mean? So for me,
to your point,
now, from my experience, if a man was serious, if a man is serious about me, he's gonna propose to me. Point blank.
So
now I can say, look, I'm accepted, but we don't really have to go through and do all the paperwork or anything like that. But I do want to be your, I do want to be yours forever, whatever. Like that's no problem for me. But the fact that you have the courage and the commitment and and I think that's what I mentioned earlier. Like you've got your head on straight, you know what you want, and you're doing it, and you've got
that's part of.
Then I can take you seriously, taking me seriously, and us seriously, and our family seriously. Because I've been through so much letdown when it comes to family that I feel like I have to have some kind of expectation or standards for the future family that I do want. You know what I mean?
Because
I don't want to have another kid if I'm not with this. If this isn't going to be my forever family, I don't want to do that. Just like you said, I want to be a wife before I have another kid. I don't want to just have another. I don't want to have another man's kid. I don't want to be another baby mom.
Yeah, and then you have 2 kids with 2 different people. But to your point, it takes one afternoon and $100 to get married to somebody. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Money shouldn't be an issue. Time shouldn't be an issue. It literally takes 2 hours and $100 for.
It's if you wanted to, you would.
There's no excuses.
And you're never going to be ready for anything if you don't just do it.
I'll give women that point, but again, for me, it's because you can always get legally married and then you can have a wedding later. Hey, let's say you're financially not in a place to do it. Cool. At least let's get married, we're husband and wife, and then have a wedding when we're set, where we financially can't do it. I get that. My thing is, I just don't want that piece of paper saying, and then plus it's Texas, so if you live with somebody more than 12 months.
Well, see, but you're gonna bring that up at the very beginning when you start dating somebody, and they're gonna have to know that, just like you said, you're setting somebody up, hey, look, I'm communicating with this, so you have a problem with it later on, we already discussed it.
That's what I'm saying. I've had this conversation so much with the few amount of women that I got to that point. It's look, I'll have a wedding. I'll propose to you. I'll give you a ring. We'll have the church wedding and all that, which really means more than anything. I just won't sign a piece of paper. I just won't be hey, legally tied to you. That's my biggest issue. Because all that creates is just harder for y'all to separate. If y'all ever do. I'm not saying that you do. But then the statistics are you have a higher chance of ending up divorcing and staying with that person. That's just clear statistics. You're over 50% have a chance of divorcing the person that you married nowadays. So to me it's just stupid. Hey, let's be together, let's commit to each other. Hey, let's have a wedding. That's cool, but you don't need anything else. You don't need to sign the paper, you don't need to fucking go through a divorce if y'all do separate. It is what it is. But it's I'm telling you, it's just crazy. It's just it's hard nowadays because you were mentioning, it's if let's say you date somebody and then they do something to that you don't like, how easy it is for you to open up an app and find 100 people in your area that are the next candidates for your next relationship. Yeah. Isn't that hard? How can you compete with that? How can you compete to have a normal relationship?
I don't know if you've seen on the internet these days too, on Facebook. I know I've seen a lot of what's the pettiest reason why you won't date someone? Or what's the pettiest reason that you broke up with someone or broke it off with someone? It's stupid shit.
And we've all done it. But
the reason why we're so
like that is because
there's so many options.
There's so much options. Nobody takes being faithful seriously. It's a fad to be not giving a fuck. To no care in the world type of shit. No, you need to care to be in a relationship, right? You need to care about another person rather than yourself. And
and then for me personally, like if you want to go around and sleep with people, if you want to go around and do the single life, you want to go around though and just like,
That's fine.
Not find potential life partners, do that, but make it fucking known. Like, I don't want to be wasting my time with a guy who just wants to,
like,
see a bunch of women. Like, I'm trying to find the potential life partner.
But with that being said,
don't waste my fucking time.
I'm also a big advocate of casual sex. Like, I feel like, hey, we're all grown. If, like you said, if that's what you want, and then you have that discussion with that person, and if they're in the same place to do that, then by all means, like.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, you have to at least be verbal about it.
You have to, yeah.
You can have casual sex, but like, let's say I'm over here thinking like, oh my god, you could be like the potential future husband, right? And then we have sex, and I'm like, this is great, and you're like, all right, cool. You go sleep with someone else. My feelings are not fucking hurt because you didn't tell me it was just casual sex. Because I could turn my feelings off and be like, all right, let's just.
That's a big thing. It's like I'll tell my friends all the time, like, do that, right? But like, don't be a piece of shit. Like, we're all old, right? We're all grown. Like, tell them what you want, and if that's not what they want, then keep it moving. It's like guys act like they can only get like a certain amount of women. I don't know, but personally, like, I've never been the type like that. I stop talking to women and be like, oh, like, I'm in my feelings about it. Like, I'm never gonna find another girl like her. Like, I've never been that guy. Like, I've always been like, okay, well, it didn't work. It didn't work for a reason, but there is thousands of more gorgeous like women, and that could potentially be a better match for me. And I've always thought that way. So like, I've never been to the point where it's like I'm so attached to this person, because I always feel it's like, okay, like, if it's not meant to be, not in a negative way, like, oh, fuck this person, whatever. I think about it as like, if it wasn't meant to be, then fuck it didn't happen. Let me just move on to somebody who probably can give me a better relationship.
You're wasting your own time if you're still trying to hang on to something that didn't work out in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. It's just been fucking crazy with all of it. But single parents, like, don't get enough like recognition for doing what they do, because it is a lot of fucking work. Like, it is a lot of fucking work. I think about it, it's like, how the fuck do I do all of this with like the little amount of time that I have? You know what I mean? Like, when I have my son, it's like I still go to the gym, I drop my son off, go to the gym, work, I pick him up, I help him with his homework, I cook dinner, I make sure that he's in bed by 9 o'clock, and do it all over again. You know what I mean? Like, every minute of my day is fucking like
Appuntado,
yeah, straight up. Like, it's fucking crazy.
Dude, I have literally had to adjust the way I do some things because I don't have enough. I had to buy extra laundry baskets because, like, I have my clean laundry that I haven't gotten around to put up, and I have my dirty laundry, and then I have Cairo's dirty laundry, and then Cairo's clean laundry, and then like the towels, and so like I'm like having to buy color-coded baskets. Like, okay, I'm not gonna have enough time to like hang all this stuff up because we have to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so like right now, like my house is a mess, but on my days off that are coming up, I'm gonna have to catch up on all of that.
No, I get that. It's
And I feel guilty because I'm off Thursdays and Fridays, and so I don't have any full days with Cairo. And I feel like on Thursdays and Friday, I should be able to keep him from school and spend the whole day with him.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, well, I can't because I've been pushing aside like all this laundry or homework or whatever it is. Like, I've been putting all of this off so long that's like I have to do it.
I get it. That's part of the whole feeling guilty thing. But we make it work. That's what I'm saying. We make it work. It's tough, but we have to make it work. That's like, because I grew up like that with my mom, where she was a single parent for like my whole life up until I was like 18, I think. And it's like, fuck, man. Like, it's now I get, and she went through it harder than I did, but like now I get the whole like, I think I am the way that I am because of that. Like, I saw my mom being a great mom, and it's like, okay, like I owe it to my kids to be just as good, right? Or try to be better, but it's fucking hard. It's fucking And then again, throw in dating, and then you have this whole other fucking factor of like this person, they may have kids, they may have their own situation like with their exes, and they may
I've
have
gotten a lot of
kids.
I mean, not from like people I'm trying to date, but like just like my friendships, I've gotten a lot of like, oh, you're ghosting me, oh, you're ghosting me, and I'm
Oh,
like,
you're one of those.
I'm either gonna message you like, I mean, the kind of like our messages, like I'm gonna message you like back and forth if I have a free hour. And you message me right when I free up, and you're that very first message on my phone, then I'm like, okay, we're gonna chit chat until my hour is up.
Yeah.
And you probably won't hear from me for another week or so. Like, that is it. You have to catch me at like a specific moment in time, or we're not chatting. Like, I have a friend on Facebook, just a Facebook friend, never met him before, and he bought some stuff for me, and he's been trying to pick up this plant that he bought, and I was like, yeah, go ahead and text me.
And then you just haven't gotten back.
Well, no, he texted. Well, okay. So he texted me, but I never got it, and I was like, oh, hey, try again. And I was like, I'm sorry. Like, I literally just have like so many unread text messages, but yeah, like I was just like, I'm sorry. Until like I was able to like message him consistently until the last message where I didn't have free time anymore, and I still haven't texted him back, and that was at 6 o'clock. And he probably won't hear me until, I don't know, he does need to pick up, he like paid me for like, the shirts that I make and like the plants and stuff. He purchased a few things, and they've been sitting around my house, and we haven't been able to meet up, but.
That's so,
yeah.
I mean, and I get that, like, because I'm terrible, like, sometimes too, but probably not as bad as like going a whole week without talking to somebody, you know what I mean? But I get that.
Like, I can like react, like heart react, and then I won't message back, and then you're like, what the fuck?
And like, I'm always like super like understanding. People have so much shit going on that I'm like, I never really care. Like if somebody like, I have a lot of friends like that too. Like I'll text them, like we'll text, and then like they'll stop texting, and then like that's it. I'm like, I don't trip about it because I'm like, all right, like I know they work, I know they got this, they may have kids too. Like I know the situation. So
what I was getting to my friends, like they joke about that. Like, well, yeah, you ghosted me last week, and I never heard back on what was going on. And I'm like, see, like, so I can't even date people because guys are just gonna be like, well, I haven't heard from her in a week. She just fucking ghosted me. I'm never talking to her. And then they'll probably never message me back. And then I'll be like, what's like, oh shit, I haven't heard from someone in 2 weeks. And I'm gonna be like, fuck them. You know what I mean?
Like, I think dating is different. Like, if
I feel like I would just like ruin it, like myself.
If you're dating a guy, I think you would pick up more like if he didn't text you back, or if you didn't text him for a few days. You're gonna think about it. It's like, hey, I'm dating this dude and he hasn't texted me. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well, I mean, like when you're first like seeing each other, not like boyfriend girlfriend.
Well, if when you first see it, or your boyfriend and girlfriend, like you're gonna notice the person that you're dating not texting you. Like I understand, like friends, like all right, whatever, like I'll talk to them next week. I don't give a fuck. But like
if you're interested, in
if you're interested, you definitely be like, because I'm that way. It's like if I'm talking to somebody and it's like. And they'll like message me, like I'll message them back right away. But if it's like another friend, or like even if a female friend, I'm like I won't like I'll react to it like you said, and then like won't text back. Like
I was explaining to my friends because like you have an iPhone.
Yeah.
iPhone, you can put like your top favorites, like you can pin them.
Oh yeah.
Like you can pin them.
Yeah.
So. If we're, let's say, like, we chit-chat for, like, an entire, I give it, like, a week. If we're, like, consistently chatting on a daily basis for a week, you're on my top, you're on my favorite, well, I can move it. I can move you up. So if we're talking a lot, I'll pin you to the top.
So it's important. Like,
well, because then I can see it. If I have a message, there's the blue dot. I don't have to, like, scroll through, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and if we stop talking and I haven't heard from you for a week, I unpin you. So if you send me a message, you send me a message, but 10 I got 10 text messages before, I don't scroll through my messages. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna sit there and scroll
Like
I have 312 unread texts.
that's crazy. That's wild. I probably have like 20.
Well, they're like I get a lot of like Michaels. You know what I mean? And everybody's like, oh my god, you have so many. No, it's like I get text notifications.
Oh, for yeah. For
like,
but
so see, I had 312. Now I'm down to 307.
there you go.
But I'm
like
not gonna scroll through all that shit.
so okay, do okay like so. Let's
Or if
say,
it's important, you're gonna call me because.
well, that's true. But some people are not big on calling. Like some people like go off of text, which I'm a big caller. Like I talk a lot.
Well, I mean, like if you like send me 10 messages in a row, it'll show up, and I'll be like, why the fuck is this dude blowing me up for?
Yeah.
Then I'll,
So okay, does a guy have to double text you?
No. If I'm into you, no.
Okay, that's what I'm saying because like if
If I see your
if
little
we're
face pop up on my phone, I'll be like,
okay,
hold
yeah.
on one sec.
'Cause,
Unless
like-
I'm with Cairo because I don't.
same
I'm
way,
not on my
same.
phone at all.
I definitely get that. But like if I like somebody and we know we like each other, like we know that we're into each other,
Mhm.
and if I text them and then they don't text me back, I'm never gonna text them again. Like that's just how it is. Like,
Me too.
I'm
Like
I'm
if
not
you
gonna
don't
double
answer,
text. Yeah.
if you don't answer my like.
Yeah.
Like if it's at night too, right? And like I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna go to bed. Good night.
Yeah.
And you don't respond, which I get, right? Because I'll do that. Like I'll be like, oh, you're going to bed. All right, bye. I'm busy, so I'm not gonna say good night, right? So I don't say good night, whatever. But in the morning, it's my responsibility to pick up where it left. Oh,
Yeah,
I don't know. Okay,
yeah,
so you
I-
think like that too?
Yeah.
So like.
If
If you don't text me back in the morning after I left the conversation last, I'm pissed. I'm initially like, wow, okay.
no,
I'm
I'm saying-
not gonna message you back until you message me. I'm so hard-headed like that.
So like, because it was a situation that happened like just a few days ago. I'm talking to this one girl, right, and we we were talking during lunch, and then I had to go on a meeting, and I say, hey, let me call you back. Like I need to jump on this Zoom meeting real quick. She's like, okay, cool. And then she like was texting me, and then like I was texting her or whatever, and then I text her last, and then she didn't text me all day after that. And like you text the person you like throughout the day, right?
Yeah.
She didn't text me all day, and I was the last one to text. So like in my mind, it's like, I'm not gonna fucking text this person. Didn't text me all day, didn't text me all night, and then the next day I'm like, damn, like what's going on here? And then she finally texted me. She was like, hey, what's up? And I was like, oh, there you are. And she was like, yeah, well, you said you were gonna call me back, and I was like, oh fuck, I did say that. But I'm like, you just say that because people say that because they got shit to do. Like, hey, didn't call you back like that.
Well, see, like for me, I don't double text because I don't like to be double text. And only because
yeah, I got you.
my ex, like if I didn't respond, he would like. Next thing I know, I have 30 missed text messages because I'm not answering. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So like, I don't like when people like if I don't fucking answer you, I'm busy.
That's why I don't double text because I'm like, I know
Exactly.
you saw my message.
So it's like you got my last
I know you saw
message.
my message.
You're busy. You can take your time. Now, if it's been 10 hours, I know you're not that busy. Like you take restroom breaks. I know almost everybody when they take a restroom break.
No, I
At least
feel like-
walking to
I
the bathroom,
feel-
you check your phone.
No, I feel like
I'm getting all into it.
I feel like nobody should go more than like an hour without texting somebody back because
Or at least you've been saying, "Hey, I'm busy
Or
right
like,
now.
hey, yeah, let
I'm
me
not
text you
gonna
back."
be able
Yeah,
to text you."
exactly. That's why I never double text ever. And I tell
Like you got my
everyone-
message.
yeah,
Like it didn't get
every-
lost. We're not sending pigeons.
I I tell every woman that I start talking to is like, I'm not that guy. I'm not gonna double text. If you don't text me back, I'm not gonna call you. I'm not the type of guy where it's like, because there's women that are like that. It's like, oh, you know what? I think we should stop talking, or maybe it's not working out. And I'm like the guy that's like, all right, like that's fine, like cool. I'm never going to obligate somebody to be in my life, or for me to talk to them.
And you shouldn't persuade. I
Exactly.
hate
That's
that.
what I'm saying. Like, I
Don't
shouldn't-
persuade.
I'm not the
me.
guy to be like, no, like I could be better right now. Like if you make that decision of like, hey, you know what? I don't want to talk to this guy instead of
Yeah, the
like,
last guy I tried dating, the one I was mentioning earlier, like, you know what? Like, I don't think you're making enough time for me. I don't think this is working out. And I was just like, okay, no,
Yeah, like,
really,
it's not
I
gonna change.
understand. Like, no worries. It was like,
yeah.
really, you're not gonna try to be better.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. No, or I think
if I wanted to do better or be better or
Yeah.
please you, I would.
I would have done it previously. Like it wouldn't have got to this point.
Yeah.
But there's some women that I feel like they
It's
want
not.
they want to tell you that so they can be like,
Do better.
no, don't leave. Like no, I'm like fuck no. Like I'm a grown ass man. Like I don't read between the lines. Like it's straight up what
Well,
you told
if
me.
you're telling me you're unhappy and this isn't working out, then
Hey, like I'm
I
sorry
understand.
I couldn't make you happy
You know,
because
but if I say, hey, look, I'm sorry, I didn't notice. I want to do it better. If I come out and say it, fine, but don't try to like persuade me.
no, I would never
or,
say
like,
that.
you know
I would never be like, oh, well, let me try to no, because you know why I wouldn't.
Well, I wouldn't do it either, but like, don't try to persuade me if I don't say it.
Yeah.
Like, you know, there's people that like, well, you're really not gonna say anything. Like, don't try to
No,
change my like. You said that's not working out. I can't change the way you're feeling.
So if a woman approached me saying, hey, you know what, like, you know, we haven't talked as much, we haven't seen each other as much, like there's a disconnect, like what can we do to work on it? Then I would try. But if you come at me
Yeah,
and say,
it's different.
if you say, hey, I don't want to talk to you anymore, like that's it.
That's your decision. Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I'm not that guy to like text you 3 months down the road, hey, what are you doing? I'm not that dude. I'm not that guy. I was just like, hey, you know what, like if we're so cool and I see you around or whatever, what have you, like by all means, like I'm gonna be nice, but I'm not gonna be like on your ass about it. You know what I mean? Like I'm not that dude. Like don't ever think that. And like some women get like feel some type of way about that, but I'm like, look, that's how I am. Like if you want a guy that's more like sentimental or emotionally attached to you, like
And you need to know what you want, and you can't
Yeah.
like you can't hold that other person towards like I'm not really clingy and I'm not really affectionate. That's just not the kind of person that I am. Now, if I wanted to, then I would be, but I'm not
Exactly.
really. So if that's something that you need, don't make me feel bad about it and try to persuade me to become the person that you want. If you know that's what you want and that's what you need, then you need to realize that it really is what you said was correct. This is not working out. So you do need to go. Treat yourself better. Like
yes, exactly. But so some people don't realize it. Some people have different expectations of like other people, and it's like that's why I said like it's hard to match with certain people because if they want that emotional or more sentimental type of relationship, like that's cool, like that's fine, that's what you want. I'm just not that guy. Like I'm not like I can be loving and affectionate, but I'm not gonna be on up your ass. Like that's just the way that I am. I mean, we all got lives. Like I understand if you have shit to do, I'm not gonna be like, oh, you're not making time for me. It's like, okay, I know you fucking have work, you got your kids, you got this. Like I give me the time that you can. If I see that you're not, then that's a different situation.
Yeah.
But no, like I've like one of the girls that I dated, she told me that she was like, hey, like I don't want to pursue this anymore because you hardly have time for me and this and that. And I'm like, all right, that's cool. Like that's
Yeah,
true.
that's
Like,
true.
fine.
Like,
yeah,
you-
and then I told her I was like, well, all right, I'll be at home later on if you want to pick up your stuff, and that's it. And she was like, okay. She came over and like she didn't meet my son. Like we were dating for a couple months. She hadn't met my son, and I had my son asleep at the house. And then she was like still trying to hug me and all that. Like I guess she wanted that reaction. And then she was like, well, he's like, let me go get my stuff. And I was like, oh, I already have it for you. Like I literally had like her blanket, all her stuff from the shower.
You were like, no,
here. And she was like, oh, like you already have it. And I was like, yeah. And she was like, well, okay. Like I wanted to come inside. I was like, no, my son's asleep. You can't come in there. And she was like, okay. Like she wanted that, like, oh, like let's talk.